obviously with the kids, but I'm out in my man cave area right now, but
Okay.
this has been my setup for I don't even know what day we're on right now, but it seems like saw a meme the other day that said it's like March 97th.
Yeah. This
That's about where we're at this point of the month, you know.
Yeah, so we are live, and to everybody tuning in, thank you for joining the March 30th edition of the of the A Nice Place to Brew Happy Hour, and that's actually really appropriate considering we had Sean from Mad Hatchet on the last one, so that's
Yes,
some
sir.
good representation there. Jason, our usual co host, will be joining us shortly. And tonight we also have Kevin from the Joliet Brewers Guild here.
How's it going? Good to see
Hey,
everybody.
here to talk about some homebrew stuff and kind of blow off some steam. So,
Yes, sir.
um, yeah. So, how's things been going with you, Kevin?
Man, pretty good. I don't know how many people, I had been on the podcast before a couple times, but I'm a teacher and we're doing this whole remote learning thing. So I've been camped out in front of this computer like literally all day. So that's most of what we do now, which is weird, but these are strange times.
They are, in fact. And actually, before I forget, let me hit record to cloud here. All right, perfect. So, so we're yeah, I hear you on that. Now I've been working from home for myself for quite some time now, but for a lot of my colleagues, it is a new experience, and so I'm the first 5 minutes of every conference call is let's small talk about how strange working from home is
Yeah, I know, right?
and all
Exactly.
and the coronavirus and everything, and I'm like, all right, come on guys,
Yeah,
let's
let's get to work.
let's get to
Yeah,
work.
exactly. Exactly. Well, I find myself doing that with students occasionally too, where you're like, no, I don't know when we're going back. No, I don't know if we're going to have track, like all this
Right,
different,
all
all
that
the things they're
stuff,
going to
yeah.
ask me every time I go, I go online. I'm like, guys, I got nothing. Let's just talk about English class. So,
Right,
but
yeah. So yeah, well, we like I said, we have another guy that Scott from WMY Brews is also invited. If he does join in, he's actually an elementary music teacher.
oh,
So I
nice.
imagine that's been a bit challenging for him trying to figure out
Right,
how to do
right.
that. So
Yeah, definitely. It's been strange all over the place for sure. But
yeah, and
um,
forgive
the,
me, I'm just trying some different microphone positionings there, so I don't want it in
sounding good
frame.
on my end.
Good, good. All right. So,
Uh,
so what are you? I saw you went and grabbed a beer. What are you drinking tonight?
So I that was my trusty Mad Hatchet pint glass, but right now I am drinking Prediction Pain, which is an Imperial IPA from Imperial Oak,
Okay.
which are um, let's see, they're in Willow Springs, Illinois. I couldn't remember the town I got this from, but yeah, and this one is Simcoe Mosaic,
One second.
and now here's one of those weird things. It's almost like Kavik or Kavike or whatever.
Uh
How do you pronounce Ekuanot? Eucanot? Hops?
huh.
That sounds French. It sounds fancy. Eucanot.
Canute.
Eucanot.
If I remember
Eucanot?
correctly, the e is actually silent in that, but I
Oh,
might be wrong. That's an interesting one. I'm not. Yeah. So I'm.
there's
Yeah.
so many of those. So like it's like everyone has a different way of saying Kavik, Kavike, Kavik.
Like, yeah.
It's like people throw out all these crazy pronunciations of different stuff.
Yeah. Jason, are you there?
I see Jason's name.
I see Jason's name too.
I
I think
do
he's
not see
having.
his smiling face.
I know, right? What's the point? So, hey, I gotta go check on something real quick. I'll be right back, Kevin. I'm sorry about this. Be right
Oh,
back.
it's all good. Yeah, no problem. Live webcasting, ladies and gentlemen. Hey,
Hello?
Oh,
I see how it is. I go away for a second and everybody shows up.
everybody just popped in.
So,
Hello, gentlemen.
hey, Jason. And I see Scott's joined us as well.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So, you said you were drinking that. I'm sorry, you said it was an IPA?
Yeah, I've got an Imperial IPA. It's called Prediction Pain
Okay.
from Imperial Oak here
From
in Willow
Imperial
Springs,
Oak?
Illinois. So supporting local breweries as much as I can.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm
Good man.
I'm doing this similar thing. It's from Commonwealth Brewing Company out of I think Norfolk or no, Virginia Beach. And it's called Magic Scones, and it's blackberry lemon sour IPA with lactose.
nice.
Yeah,
Milkshake IPA.
I
blackberry
so it's
no sour milkshake IPA.
Oh my gosh.
vanilla also.
Vanilla? No, lemon blackberry sour IPA with lactose. So
Okay.
that's
A lot
that.
of breweries been putting in the vanilla with the sour IPAs to kind of cut the
Kind of cut
the
this.
berries and the sour a little bit. But I think if you had like some sweet fruit in there too, that's always. I love those sour IPAs. I'm on board. I like all the gimmicky new stuff that people are doing. I think it's cool. Why not? You
Well,
know,
I'm certainly
I get
happy.
stuck in a rut.
I'm certainly happy they're trying things out and everything, and I'm coming around on the newer sours. It used to be back at when I tried sours before, they were all pretty terrible, like they were too sour, and people have
Kettle
found.
sours
Well,
for
I'm
the
not sure
most
how
part.
they were doing it before, but the way they're doing it now, they're finding a good balance, and it's really they're really nice. It just adds a little bit of tartness along with usually the sweetness from say like the lactose and things, and it's good balance. And I'm actually
Yeah, I'm
considering
coming
making
around
one.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So.
had one. Here, let me open my Untapped, and I'll tell you about it. I had a really good sour from a local place. It's called Roaring Table,
Mm,
and they are up. Hold on, I'll look it up here. But it was called Inessential Houses, and that is from Roaring Table, and they're in Lake Zurich, Illinois.
okay.
And this was dry hopped with Hallertau Blanc, Galaxy, Vic Secret. It had, gosh, it was like kind of almost like kind of a light like peachish kind of looking beer, and and that one had vanilla and I think peach and apricot or something in there. No, yuzu. I'm not sure what even yuzu even is, but yuzu,
Yuzu isn't.
lemon, lactose, and vanilla, and it was delicious. It was really good.
What
So
is
shout out to those guys. That was a great beer.
Oh crap! And of course I spilled it.
Oh no.
Yeah. So let me grab a
Look
paper.
out for smoke coming up.
Let me grab a paper towel.
Sparks flying off of the keyboard.
Can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if can you turn up at all, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I can-
Actually, no, wait. One more time.
Test, test, test.
Oh, dude, clear as a bell,
All right. Thank you.
like a songbird.
I'm a little quiet in my headphones, and I don't quite know why.
Gotcha.
I'll figure it out.
I got the HP webcam microphone special I've been working with here, doing my remote classroom stuff for the last couple weeks. So hopefully
You
this is clear enough.
set. Oh man, you are set to go. That is like the picture perfect frame. You sound
Okay.
perfect.
Cool.
And
Cool.
I'm a big fan of the Metal Monkey T-shirt. Being that the three of us could be wearing that all at the same time because we volunteered there on the same day.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Good shout
good
out to our
times.
good friends Dan and Jason. Past episodes and hopefully a future episode too. Cheers.
Indeed,
Support your
indeed.
and you touched on this earlier on when we first got on, and I think that's going to be a recurring theme tonight. Is the theme of supporting your local breweries, especially in this unprecedented time.
Hell
So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you've got a local beer in front of you. I do as well. George has a Virginia beer, so we're doing our part.
Absolutely.
And you know what? We're drinking good beer at the same time. So
Yeah, right. I mean, really, if you think about how strange it is that you can do good things by sitting at home on your couch and drinking delicious local beer. I think it's like really, it's not a real hard, it's not a big ask, I don't
No,
think, for people to do that.
it's really not. As somebody said, this is the first worldwide thing that you can actually solve by sitting at home and
Doing not a
and
whole
doing
lot.
nothing. And they said they followed that up by saying, "Don't fuck it up." It's,
Exactly. And that applies to our friends that own breweries, as well as my wife is a healthcare worker. She's a nurse and she's at the hospital right now. And so the more we can do to help people like her and small business owners like them, the better, right? That's
absolutely.
Is she treating COVID-19 patients?
I don't know how much of that I'm really supposed to say.
No. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know it's been around. I mean, it's definitely here. It's here in my county. I live in Grundy County, Illinois. I live in Diamond, Illinois, tiny little town, and it's.
Is that where the Grundy County auction happened?
Here.
The song?
We have several positives.
Hey, that's a question. So is that where Grundy County auction? Is that the thing?
No, that's somewhere down. See, I thought that too, but that's somewhere down south, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Run
right.
down to the Grundy County. I remember that song. That was a good one. I remember when it came out, and
John Michael
we all thought
Montgomery.
that was pretty cool. But we were like, we looked it up. I think there's a Grundy County, Tennessee, Alabama, somewhere down there. I don't think they'd be writing about Grundy County, Illinois. Although you probably could make some pretty good country songs out of the area I live in.
Yeah. Every time I hear Grundy, I always think of Solomon Grundy. And either from the old
Batman.
Well, Batman and the old what was it, English poem or whatnot? I don't know.
Oh, and I was thinking of Batman. You see where
Yeah,
I'm at.
no, I'm totally with you on that. I get where you're going. So, yeah, big Batman fan.
Here
So
we go.
we know what
Scott's
Kevin and
getting
I
all
are.
dialed in here.
Well, we know what Kevin and I are drinking. What about you, Jason?
So I just had a small sampling of what's left of my autumn stout, which somehow, some way, there is still beer in that keg. I have no idea how, but
Isn't that weird?
I know.
When you get those like never-ending kegs.
This
like,
is that one.
This has to be
my
the last
never-ending
pint.
keg. Yeah.
Another one. It's got to be. This is it. It's got to be the last pour.
It's loaves and fishes all over again.
Mhm.
I'm glad it's not just me. I'm glad Kevin can relate to that. But
Which
anyways,
is there's worse problems to have, right?
True.
Than a
100%,
never-ending
yes.
keg, but
but sometimes you need the keg space, and I'm kind of coming
true.
right up on
True.
that.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Shit. My setup is not
You guys are
behaving.
spilling shit everywhere, knocking shit over.
This is a highly professional setup we got going. The good news is my laptop is elevated, and so when I did spill it went all over. It didn't go onto the laptop. It went onto my desk. So that was
Check.
Keyboard is safe.
keyboard
Check,
is
check,
safe.
check.
The laptop, because it's okay, right.
Yeah.
Can still hear me.
Can still hear you. You're good.
All right.
So
All right. So here's what I've got waiting for me now that my glass is empty. This is a beer I'll be trying for the first time.
Megabyte.
Yeah. Yes. This is from our friends from Hot Butcher for the World.
okay.
And yes, so this has a mix of Citra, Amarillo, and just Citra and Amarillo.
Citra Amarillo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
I have not tried this one before. This will be a first. But I'm a big fan of Hot Butcher.
Yeah. They can,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've had a bad beer there.
I might need
Yeah.
a snow globe or two of them because you've brought them up a few times.
I'm sure I know a guy who can help you with that.
You know a guy? All right. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
What about you, Scott? You got anything?
Scott's still over there
I
setting up.
am currently drinking sparkling water.
Okay. All right.
Nice.
Well,
Is that on tap?
Does it count because it came out of one of my kegs? It came out of a tap. Yeah.
okay.
That's actually that's interesting. That's a cool thing. I've been if I ever had a tap open, which is rare, I kind of wanted to do that because I think it would make me want to drink more water. But is it just any kind of minerals, or did you put any kind of like flavoring in there? Is it flavored sparkling water? Or?
Well, yeah, we do a little bit of the Soda Stream flavors.
Okay.
Not like Coke or Pepsi or anything. Just a tiny little bit of like grapefruit or 0 calorie stuff.
Right.
Sure, sure.
I've heard of people using like essential oils and stuff like that in there. That's pretty cool. That'd
Yeah.
be nice in like a
Yeah.
hot
So,
summer
yeah.
day.
So,
But
There it is.
Jason,
unfortunately, I'd rather have the extra tap with beer most of the time. That's just me.
Jason and
But
I,
if I ever had the extra tap, damn it, I will make some sparkling
Understandable.
water one of these days.
Jason and I both have little 2.5 gallon kegs, and so I've considered doing things like trying to figure out how to do sparkling water or homemade root beer, not from the syrup, like actually get the roots and boil them down and things
Oh,
like that.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, but doing it in that smaller keg just to make sure if it goes horribly bad, at least I don't have 5 gallons of the stuff.
You're
you
not
know?
out a bunch of cash and time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
The kids and I made a little extract root beer kit one time, and they had a blast doing that with me, and it was pretty cool. It took a lot of gas to get
How'd it
that thing
taste?
bubbly. It's
Did
like
it?
I really had to force carb the crap out of it. Yeah, it's crazy how non-fermented. I mean, it's like it's so syrupy. I mean, I didn't realize to make it taste like a real. I mean, I guess like your high school like health teacher always, how much sugar is in a soda, and they show you the thing like, oh, well, this is one root beer, compared to, this is an apple, and you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what
And
you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, and we've got the pot going, and we did it in the house, because it's extract. You don't need to have the burner outside or anything like that. And we're just dumping bags of sugar into this. I'm like, this can't be right. I triple checking the recipes, and but anyway, I guess something that thick and that sweet. I mean, it's to get that to have some bubbles in it. I mean, I had to crank it and shake it, and I'm shaking it, and it took forever to get decent carb on it. But the kids loved it. We had root beer floats from homemade root beer, and I thought it was
Nice.
pretty cool.
So I have questions about this because I've been tempted to do the same thing for quite some time. Can you tell us a little bit about what's a root beer brew day like? I mean, obviously you don't have like your mash
Yeah,
and
that's a good
lauter
question.
and boil. So what's that day consist of?
So when we did it, I got a couple of things. I think I got it was Hires root beer. Do you ever remember I don't think they make it in bottles anymore, but for some reason they still make Hires root beer extract. And I remember it from when I was a kid. But they had these little bottles, and it was just not distilled, but I mean I bought bottled water from the store because I don't trust my tap water here in Diamond, and bottled water, just a big. My wife does canning, and so we had kind of a bigger pot, but not like brew pot big, right?
Right.
And so that fits on the large burner of the stove. And I think we did about maybe 2 or 3 gallons worth of water in the pot. I mean, this was a couple of years ago, so and this isn't on Beersmith, I don't have my notes for this one, but it was the extract and then just literally a shit ton of sugar. And like, I think it was pounds on pounds of sugar, and you're just stirring and then get it up to a boil just to kind of pasteurize it. And then
Cool it.
I didn't do like a quick cool, we just kind of let it cool down for a couple hours, put it in the keg with some cold bottled water, and then force carbed it. And we were drinking it like a couple days later. So that was one good thing about a non-alcoholic beverage on tap is there's zero weight involved,
Right.
A lot of times when you're, when you're waiting for something to ferment, it's like, well, man, I can't wait to try this. But that was the one good thing is that we could have root beer right away after it was all cold and bubbly. So
Did it carb that quickly?
no, I had to go out and just hit it with more and more gas. That was what I was saying. I was surprised I had to turn it up to like almost like 50, 55 PSI.
Gosh.
Wow.
I'm sitting there just rocking it back and forth and rocking it, and then finally got it there. But it, I kind of let it cool overnight, like in the keg or in the keg.
I wonder if there's any whoa.
Earthquake!
I wonder if there's any correlation between how much sugar is left in a liquid and how hard it is to carbonate. Because that's like the one thing that I can think of that's really different. Obviously, you want a slightly higher carbonation than your typical beer for a root beer, but even so, you shouldn't have had to put in that much effort. I wonder if because the residual sugar content was so much higher, if that contributed to, how hard it was to carbonate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it had to, right? Because I mean, if you look at like carbonation charts for beers, I mean that is based on what temperature the beer is, and then
Right.
you know what the OG and FG is. You know, I mean, if you look at when you look at those charts, it's always what was your finishing gravity and what temperature is it at, and how
Yeah,
many
there's
volumes
none
do
of
you
that.
want, and that sort of thing. But it's like trying to carb syrup,
Right.
basically. I mean, because none of that gets fermented out. So,
Yeah.
but I'm no
So.
scientist. That's just a guess. That's
You,
an
you,
educated guess.
you sound like you know your stuff, sir.
I mean, a little, I guess, but I couldn't explain why that happened. I have some friends that could
So
I would call if I really needed to know. But
so I've been updating our website and getting all of our podcasts back up there again. And I couldn't help myself because we had one episode where we talked about MacGyvering different things and experimenting with stuff. And so I couldn't help myself but to use as a featured image
Oh God.
good old Richard Dean Anderson there.
Oh, perfect.
here he is. I was
Wow.
I wasn't an avid watcher of that show, but I remember a few episodes where I was like, wow, that was pretty ingenious. I wonder
Yeah.
if they ever tested that to see if it could really work.
Yeah,
I remember he was caught in an avalanche once, and he made like a blowgun out of his like ski poles, and like shot like an SOS out from like 3 feet of snow so people could find him, and
yeah.
it was like something like that every time.
Yeah, but I really liked that show growing up and doing homebrew stuff. Just every once in a while you have to figure something out and MacGyver something together to make it work.
Homebrew ingenuity.
Yeah,
This is the second consecutive show where we've talked about MacGyver. I see a recurring theme.
it should be every show. I mean, if you're honest.
3 more episodes from now, and you're going to be teaching people how to make bombs out of gum. You're going to be how to turn your car into a transformer with like duct tape and some old bed springs.
I'm gonna add amateur munitions to the list of things that this show is not for: medical advice, legal advice, financial advice, and amateur munitions.
There's a lot that could be on that list.
I have a
But
story.
I think
I have a
that sounds
story.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's a solid list to start with.
It is, yes. You covered a lot of ground. Excuse me 1 second. I'm going to rinse my glass.
Cool. Yeah.
So, to that. How's it going, Scott?
Oh,
Are you set up?
I'm doing really well, guys.
Awesome. It's
So
it's
I'm,
nice to meet you.
Hello. I am doing a live concert on Wednesday, and
Okay.
I'm setting up my whole setup here at the bar because it's going to be called Songs and Takeout, and I'm encouraging people to take out from the local bar, basically.
Okay.
So a lot of my friends, being a musician, a lot of my friends are putting on live things, and it's how they're making their money is Venmo and PayPal because they're not working right now. But since I have a salary and I'm still getting paid, I don't want to accept tips or anything, but I do want to try to support local business. So Wednesday night, we're going to drink some drinks, going to get a crowler and some food from the rest. I'm going to take requests, and that's what I'm setting up now. As soon as my kids are done talking to their friends via live stream, I'm going to switch to this system, and we'll have better video. I can talk through a mic, and it'll.
Okay. All right.
awesome.
Sounds good.
Sounds definitely like something cool to flip on and check out. You said that was
Wednesday at 7. Yeah, I'll share the link to my Twitter too, to the West New York Brews Twitter.
And you're on Eastern.
Yeah.
We
So
are
that'd be
Eastern
6,
time.
That'd be 6 Central. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And I'm taking requests, and you guys obviously can't order from the same place I am, so. If
No.
you wanted to participate, you would order. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera. If you wanted to participate, you would take out from wherever your local establishment would be.
Okay.
Right on.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. We we've taken advantage of this curbside stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if going forward, if businesses are planning on keeping it, but I kind of love it. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I mean,
It's pretty amazing.
It's become the way of doing business so quickly that this kind of thing just doesn't disappear overnight.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think inevitably it's going to be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
I think the question is just to what degree. Like, is this going to become like half of everyone's business, or is it going to be way less? Who knows?
I think once this is released, we're going to see people going back into places and sitting there and wanting to be out again, and we're going to see it kind of pendulum back in the other direction for a little bit. But yeah, I think them keeping some element of it around could definitely be.
I still think it'd be great on the way home from work. Like, hey, have 3 crawlers ready for me. I'll swing by at 6:15. You know, grab a pizza from another place, and boom, throw them in the back, and you're out, and you know, no lines. No, I mean, it's almost like your grocery pickup that they've had at grocery stores for a long time.
Yeah.
Get all your shopping done, and I'll be there at a certain time, and they give you what you're looking for, and you're on your way. No muss, no fuss, you know. Although I love hanging out at breweries, it's like one of my favorite things to do. But you know, I think I like the convenience factor. That's
I miss the people for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, no, we all for sure. I feel stupid asking this, but this curbside thing was not a thing whatsoever before this whole thing happened. Is that right?
Not really. No.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I
think there's our answer. Okay.
You could go in and get a crowler or a growler and then head out, but you couldn't like call ahead and have it ready for you or anything like that.
So I think we fell into a new business model just because of this whole thing.
Like I said before, the creativity people have shown during this has been astounding.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
And honestly, just look at the uptick in webcasting. I mean, this show is just one example of that. But this has become a go-to medium for people to stay in touch.
Yeah, we've increased our webcasting by about infinite %. So
you can't put it.
Hey, I'm watching now because I'm in it. There's a +1.
But think of how much more content that we're putting out. You know, we went from like 1 tops 2 episodes per month, and now we're doing 2 episodes per week.
True.
Without a hiccup.
Yeah, well, we had a hiccup last time, but this time we're doing really well.
Okay. That was not any fault of our own.
0.2% drop frames at the moment, so we're good.
All right. I'm gonna log off and log back on using the webcam and the microphone.
Sounds good.
Okay, right on.
All right. So, Kevin, I heard you've been doing a bunch of homebrewing since all this started.
Well, I've done 1 batch, and then that one's about ready to go. I'm going to do a secondary on this one because I'm doing oak spirals with it.
Okay.
I did a Belgian triple, and I was meaning to check it. I'm looking over at my firm chamber right now, but I was going to check it and see if it's done. But so I'm going to do a Belgian triple on bourbon oak spirals for something different because I don't know. In my mind, it sounds good. You know, sometimes you roll the dice with home brewing, you know, but I know that there's a couple different companies. And so I looked it up. I talked actually to Jason at Metal Monkey, other Jason at Metal Monkey, and said, hey, when you guys, they had a barrel aged triple and they used wine barrels, right?
Right.
But he's like, give it a shot, you know, and I like wood aged bigger beers. And this one's probably going to come out right around like the 8.3, 8.4. So on big ones, I like a little oak in there. So I'm going to be porting that over. And then my next one, I wanted to actually discuss that because I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I want to do an ESB or if I want to do just like an easy drink because I got some bigger beers. Not that easy, you know, not that ESB isn't an easy drinker or whatever, right? But
can be, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so I don't know. I'm thinking about doing an APA and then using some of my Pilsner malt that I'm sitting on. So I'm doing a Pilsner malt based
APA
American Pale Ale with London 3 yeast is my thought.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, right. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to I always try to kind of taste it in my head before I make things.
Yeah. Well, the London is going to add some of those ESB kind of characters. What kind of hops are you thinking of using?
Good question. The reason why I want to do that is I actually have these new, newish, like that. I think they've only been selling them for a couple, maybe 2, maybe 3 years tops. But it's BRU Brew One from Yakima Valley,
Okay.
and they say they're supposed to be like the pineapple hop. Like it's like just throws straight pineapple.
So like
into
fruity, you're going
Yeah,
for
so
like a
I'm
fruity,
thinking
citrusy kind of thing.
So I'm thinking like Brew One Citra, maybe semi-hazy, throw in some flaked oats, that sort of thing, with the London 3, but with a Pilsner base because that's what I have.
Right. So I'm with you, except for the London 3. I think I might go for a more traditional American style yeast if I were to make that. I think the London might throw in some
Okay.
flavors and esters that you're not, that they're going to clash with that a little bit.
Yeah, well, like I say, I'm working with the things I have in my fridge right now.
Yeah, no, I get
And
that.
all I have right now, I have a big slug of lager yeast. So I was going to make like another crisp lager, and I have London 3 that I have harvested, and I have this new ESB yeast, which I was going to use on an ESB, and still will eventually, but
Okay.
it's the Lallemand ESB, it's called. So
I'd be interested to see, because what's the alphas on that pineapple hop?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
All right.
That's a good thing about doing these things at home is, I got the
You got it right there.
everything right here.
Yeah. Then I got
A little shopping spree of hops here recently.
remind me, I got a question for you guys once we're done talking here, because I'm thinking of doing another one once this one's done fermenting. Well, it's done and letting it rest. But I have a question about some old malt. But let's finish up with him. Yeah.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I have some similar questions.
Yeah. You're pretty good center frame there, Scott. I'm seeing you pretty well. Yeah.
And lit. Well, can you hear me through the microphone?
Yep,
Yes.
can hear you. Yeah.
Awesome.
See what I've been.
Okay.
Oh, hey. All right, there you are.
Hey, sorry.
Now you're good.
So these guys are 15.7.
Wow.
Yeah, and I haven't even pulled the seal on them yet, but I'm sitting on a half pound of these and
Okay.
been wanting to play with them. So I kind of want maybe kind of a semi-hazy, fruity, kind of a crusher because who knows how much longer we're going to be stuck in the house. And,
Sure.
if all you have is high ABV beers, that's rules
Yeah.
don't apply in quarantine,
It's airport rules. It can be 9 a.m. and you're like, I want a beer. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that lower ABV thing, and give it a whack and see. I'd be very interested to see how those hops come out because that's one flavor that I like in a beer, a nice light beer, is the pineapple. So if that really comes out well, I'd love to give that a try myself.
Have you guys had an opportunity to play with Sabro before?
Once.
So
yeah,
that's a very coconut. So they say, and I don't have any, so I'm not going to make this, but they say if you do Brew One and Sabro, you can get kind of like a pina colada kind of beer thing going on. And I know here, another local place, Phase 3, in Lake Zurich, they did this beer, and I forget what that one was called, but they did one with a lot of Sabro in it. And it was like literally no adjuncts, but I mean, it was like you're drinking a pina colada, and it was unbelievable,
Okay.
So that'd be another fun. I like experiment with new hops and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Have you been up there to Phase 3 already?
So I went up to pick up a bottle there. I got that curvature. It's their stout that they released, and so you go there to pick up your bottles, and they're not open yet. Well, obviously they wouldn't be open now, but
Right.
they hadn't opened their tap room yet. But I believe they bought out the Lake Zurich Brewing Company that they were contract brewing from, and so now it's going to be just Phase 3. And when I was in there, I mean, he's got a fully functioning tap room. I mean, looks really nice. Just kind of looked like they were maybe kind of changing a couple things here and there, but really cool place, you know, nice people.
Cool. No,
Yeah.
I've heard the name come up several times. I haven't seen any stuff in packages yet, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not out there. So
Yeah, that
So-
stuff, that's another one kind of like your hot butcher, you know, it's kind of one of those like, hey, it comes on Tuesday at
right.
10 a.m. and there's people like already showing up, you know, they got a little bit of that
I'm
that
glad you
juice
mentioned
going
it.
for 'em.
Yeah. Do you know, is that the schedule they're keeping? Is it Tuesdays?
I just threw out a date.
Oh,
I have no
okay.
idea. I know Hot Butcher's Wednesday though. I do know that Hot Butcher's on
Thursday.
Wednesdays.
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. Shit.
It's
Yeah, you're
Thursday,
right.
yeah.
You're right. But-
I made it a point to take a late lunch to go and pick some up recently.
There you go. There you go.
All right.
So review. What do you think?
You know,
I had that one the first time they made it, but not the recent.
okay.
I'm
Here's-
listening.
Here's what it looks like.
Pretty.
It looks like a large glass of orange juice.
It does.
Yeah. So so Hop Butcher brews beers with pretty much the same base beer quite often and just changes up the hop profile. And this is one of those. They stick to a base beer that's a New England. It's hazy and it's 7.5% ABV. They're all like that, pretty much straight across the board. I will say that the hop profile is noticeably less prevalent, but not prevalent, less,
Prevalent.
yes, thank you, than the last Hop Butcher I had,
Okay.
which was, I'll have to grab a can of it from my fridge. I can't remember the one offhand, but
Well, they drop so many fresh beers. It's like every week it's a new drop, you know, so it's hard to
Yeah.
keep track of all that stuff. you know?
yeah.
It's
And
like
last,
they have like the flagship Hop Butcher. Like, oh, if you had the Hop Butcher classic, you know, I mean, that's something different
Right.
every week. So
right. So I will say that this is refreshing, but it doesn't. I cracked this open thinking it was going to have a little bit more bite to it. So
with that name,
yeah, true. So little lighter than expected.
Okay.
But I'm still going to
Okay.
drink it, and I'm sure I'll be feeling nice right at the end of this. So
Yeah.
7.5. Yeah.
who am I to complain?
Yeah, I didn't actually check
There you
and
go.
see how much this one was. If it says on the can, which it has to, right? Somewhere.
Yeah, it should.
There it is, 7.8 ABV. So if I hadn't spilled half of it all over my desktop, I would be feeling it as well.
Is that a 12-ounce can or bigger?
No, it's a pint.
Oh, it's 16. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
it's a pint, and I'll tell you what the guy I got it from, because there's a place down in outside of Richmond called Bottle Works, and they're a really good bottle shop. He's like, I don't know why they're calling it an IPA. You don't really taste that, but the rest of the flavors really come through, and I can taste a little bit of hop character. It's not absent, but the blackberry, lemon, sour, lactose elements really come through a whole lot better. That's not to say it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's extremely tasty, but I don't know if I go as far as to say it's an IPA.
Right on.
Yeah.
I switched to a homebrew.
Did you? Okay.
Oh,
What
yeah?
what kind?
Yeah. So I have a hoppy saison that I made with Centennial and Mosaic hops, and there's so Omega yeast here is a Chicago-based yeast. I'm
Right.
sure you guys are familiar. It's a Seasonstein's Monster yeast that it's supposed to be like half. It's supposed to be half Belgian saison and then half French saison, and they put it together. And I love this yeast. It's like one of my
Okay.
favorite yeasts for any kind of saison. So, I mean, I like it, but of course, you know, when you're reviewing your own homebrew, you're kind of biased, you know.
True. Yeah.
Oh, that's the greatest beer I've ever tasted in my life. though.
At the same time, I think we're also realistic, if not hypercritical. Sometimes you're like, "Oh my god, it's the worst thing ever," and then you give it to somebody else, and you're like, "That's pretty good." And you're like, "What are you talking
yeah.
about? That's the worst
No.
thing I've ever made."
Yeah, that's
We
true.
all
Yeah, I have had it that way.
absolutely relate to that. No question.
So
Yeah, I think probably I'm more critical than I am like.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not like conceited, but it is nice when you hit one that's like,
Yeah.
for your taste, you're like, oh, like I did it,
Right.
Well,
That's
Yeah.
probably one of the best things about the hobby, in my opinion. So.
Well, in your case too, Kevin, you're a beer judge. So I mean, you have refined taste buds, so you can point at, any.
I mean, I've
kind of
taken
thing.
the test. I don't think that makes me like a super taster or anything like that, I mean, I worked hard on it, I did some studying
yeah.
to pass the things that I did, but, I don't know necessarily if you have, BJCP judge after your name, that makes you like any kind of like, oh, well, you just peon, rest of you beer drinkers, like, you're beneath me,
No, but I
like
mean,
that sort of thing. But
at least you have a wider knowledge base than a lot of
well,
people
sure,
do have.
sure.
So yeah, so you can.
I mean,
point
we've trained to detect off flavors and
Right.
faults and where that comes from and that sort of thing. Sure,
But let's be fair, we've all seen judges that are like that.
for sure, they're all over the map. Yeah, for
we
sure.
had one that was in one of our homebrew clubs when I was out in Illinois. I haven't seen him. I hadn't seen him in a while before I left, but that was definitely kind of like that on Main Street. Jason, I think you know who I'm talking about. But
oh yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so you
Okay.
just can't let stuff like that. And I really try not to. Like, I've made a conscious effort to really understand and appreciate. And Jason and I have talked about this, commercial beers and mass market beers for what they are, and really kind of just understand what their purpose is and how well they fulfill it and everything, and not try not to become that beer snob that I really don't want to be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I've learned is like I have friends that have entered beers in, 2-3 categories in the same competition, right? And so you have, 2 or 3 judge pairs looking at the exact same beer, just, oh, well, maybe it's hoppy enough you can enter it in specialty IPA and, like pale ale and something, like that sort of thing. And then they'll get back feedback that goes from like, oh, well, in this category, it got like a low 40s. And in this category, it got 28 and they taste diacetyl in it. It's like, so if these guys got it, but they didn't,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just I don't know. I'm not trying to cheapen what I do at all. I'm just saying that, I mean, different taste is always subjective. And
Exactly.
people,
Yeah.
it's kind of like why I got obsessed with hot sauce is because my wife's a wuss and she doesn't like any kind of spice. And so that's why I got to the point where if I want some spice in my food, I got to do it on my plate instead of when you're cooking for people, because
Right.
it's like, for mass appeal, you got to keep it pretty mild.
Now the
around my
question
house.
is, do you do a separate, like, smaller batch for yourself where you murder it with spice?
Well, I mean, yeah, it depends on what we're having, but yeah, for sure. I mean, like I'll do like the spicy rib rub,
Right.
when I'm putting ribs on my smoker, like you got the spicy rib rub with the ghost peppers and reapers and all that stuff, and then you've got the rest of it, and you got to make sure you keep it separate and tell the kids, hey, to me, it's like anything, and that's my taste,
Right.
Me, when I eat food, I like to do something with 3 napkins, where you got one for your mouth, then you got one wiping your forehead, and blowing your nose on another one,
I was thinking, what
wiping your tears with another one,
So you like the extreme stuff?
Yeah.
Kinda. Not. I
Okay,
mean, like
okay.
I'm not like too bad, but I grew ghost peppers and reapers last year.
Oh
And
wow!
Oh, wow.
I did,
Okay.
and they grew like, I mean, I barely did anything to them. I just watered them, I think I gave them Miracle Grow like one time, and it was like I had almost like a bush that came up almost to my chest from the ground. I had so many of these things, I didn't know what to do. I was giving them away to people. Nobody really, nobody really wants. I mean, there's a certain level of pain that people can tolerate.
Right.
If you tell them I have ghost peppers and reapers, I mean, it's like they're like, oh God, I don't want that,
Yeah.
But I have like a lifetime supply of them because I dehydrated them. And so if you guys are ever looking to make a spicy beer, holler.
Oof.
You want to make
make a beer.
You
with
want to make
those-
like
that's
a
bold.
like a ghost pepper milkshake or So the
Oof.
ghost peppers I think it's like 150 times a jalapeno.
Yeah.
And then the Reaper is, I think, 2.5 times higher than that.
Wow.
So the Reapers are like, when I open the jar, it's like you got to open it out here.
Do you wear gloves?
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably wear gloves for it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I
Yeah.
did it, I had the presence of mind to put it in the garage when I was dehydrated because it's blowing hot air through there. And I opened the garage door, and just when the garage door opened, I mean, it was
Oh,
like somebody took
jeez.
pepper spray and mace. I had to run in there like, oh, run in, unplug it, check them. Oh, okay, then run back out.
You know what? For 2 seconds, I was thinking to myself, you know what? If I did a really, really small quantity of that, I could like make a batch of chili or something with that.
Yeah, but that's what it's meant for.
I'm kind of thinking twice now. Like if you're opening a garage door and it's like hitting you that quick.
Well, you're talking about, I mean, when you harvest them, you get probably, 15 peppers or so, and then you're splitting them in half with gloves on.
Sure.
So, I mean, you're talking 3 trays full of dehydrator. But I mean, really, that's why I say I have a lifetime supply. I mean, if you like use a quarter of one pepper and diced it up super fine, or like use a spice grinder to make it like powder, I mean, you could do chili for 50 people and it'd still be hot as hell.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But, so I did want to circle back to my question because I'm thinking about making a porter, and I won't lie, it's because my father-in-law found a recipe for Guinness whoopie pies, and the two on the left probably don't know what whoopie pies are. But Scott, are you familiar? You're close enough to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I know what a whoopie pie is.
All right, cool. So we're thinking about making that. So what I'm thinking about making is a porter, like a darker porter. And I've got a bunch of Maris, which is, perfect. Maris Otter, perfect for making a porter. But it's about a year old. And my concern is, like, what is the loss of diastatic power and potential that I should expect with that, as far as, like, how much should I adjust my recipe, knowing that it's been sealed, it's
I was going to ask about your storage.
Yeah, storage is great. It's been sealed. It's in the house. So it's not been through any, like, major temperature swings or humidity swings or anything like that.
You're good.
You think so?
I would relax. Don't worry. Have a homebrew. I mean, so I have a couple friends that run the Brewlosophy podcast, and those guys have done these experiments on the one guy their founder, Marshall is his name. And so he took this, again, you can check this out on Brewlosophy.com. I'm not like stealing their content or whatever, but I'm just, because I'm an avid fan. And he took a whole batch and had it pre-milled, right?
Okay.
And then just had it in a bag sitting on his workbench. He lives in California, so it didn't get, I mean, it was a pretty hot garage or whatever for weeks. And then did that versus a freshly milled batch, and people couldn't tell the difference between them. And I think for the most part, as long as you keep grain dry, I mean, a lot of people worry about the freshness, and it is good to have fresh ingredients, but I mean, after the kilning process, I think it's almost like a dried beans, or, I mean, it's kind of the shelf. I'm not saying an infinite shelf life, but I think if it's kept well, that it's
okay.
I don't want to say indefinite, but I mean, I think you can get years out of grain.
Okay.
As long as you're keeping oxygen out of it and not, avoiding monster temp swings and things.
That makes sense.
It does. I may aim a little bit higher on than I want on the alcohol, just in case. But that makes sense.
No, worst case scenario, you just get a bigger porter, which is delicious.
Yeah, which isn't a problem at all. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the malt you're mentioning is Maris.
Maris Otter, yeah.
And it's the Maris that you've had for a decently long time.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you've covered your bases just fine. Yeah, go a little higher on the grain, and that's it. What is that?
Are you guys familiar with these? So they sell these on Amazon. They're called Vittles Halts.
Yeah, they're for dog food.
They're for dog food. You can get 55-pound of sack of grains in here, and I keep all my grains in these things, and so they go on nice and tight, and they've got rubber grommets in there, and then I mean, you go in here. I got all my Maris Otter in there right now. That's going to be my ESB beer right there. But these things are like, if you catch them on sale, they have these upright ones and they're stackable, and then they have these other ones that are they go kind of sideways and they're on like a 45-degree angle, kind of like an old school like candy shop. You can reach in there and scoop out of it and sort of that sort of thing. So
Right.
This guy's been awesome for me. So
That's awesome. I've never seen
a gear recommendation is to look up the Vittles Vault. This one from Amazon.
See, if that's not some MacGyver nonsense, I don't know what is. I'm gonna take a
That's what
dog
I'm saying,
food
man. Well,
container.
to keep the bugs and the moisture out of your dog's food, which I'm sure would be great for dog food too. But it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
All right, we'll give that a shot. So my only other concern, and depending on whether or not it is open, is I don't have any homebrew shops really near me. So I get my CO2 from a local weld shop, and we just today had a stay-at-home, shelter-in-place type order come out. So
statewide
till June.
What?
Yeah, till June.
Yikes!
I think our
that
governor.
sucks.
I think our governor's like, well, it's easier to say, hey, we're ending it early than, hey, we need to extend it. So,
versus
all right.
Illinois, where it's
That's fair.
been like 2 weeks at a time.
right,
And you get kind of excited, and then there's another week, and here's another week.
right, exactly. So,
We're still on our first one.
are you?
Or
Well, at
Kevin,
schools
did
they
have-
tacked
do
a
you have
week
one
on
of
to my original announcement
Okay.
for the school.
Okay,
but-
got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my
But it's-
concern is I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get my CO2 tank swapped out.
I would imagine that if all of your construction businesses are still running,
True.
welders are still welding.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
they have to.
you think they'd be considered essential and everything?
Well, I would think anybody who runs supply. So I have a friend who's a plumber,
Okay.
and he was talking about to go to the plumbing shop, you have to call it in advance and do orders over the phone.
Okay.
And then he brings his work truck through, and it's all no contact right now in there. But I think they would probably choose an option like that. Do you do exchange or fill?
Exchange.
Exchange. So I would
Yeah.
imagine, you say, hey, it's in the back, and grab it and swap me out. And I mean, I don't know, it'd be worth a phone call, but I think most of those businesses want to stay open, and they're willing
Yeah.
to figure out whatever they can do to serve people.
I think largely what it comes down to is the type of work that they're doing and what end markets they're servicing.
True.
Right.
To Kevin's point, I have been decently surprised at just how many businesses have remained open despite the shelter-in-place rule.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Well, we were laughing the other night about we saw a meme that there was a picture of a guy in a freaking hot dog suit twirling a sign.
Oh, I saw
saying,
that. I saw
Yeah,
that.
like, hey, come on in, and the guy's standing next to the highway in his hot dog suit. Like, so that's okay. I guess that's essential. It's a little sketchy, but
Yeah.
I don't think they've really come out and said, you essential, you stay, close
Yeah.
it down,
I think it's
So I'd
probably.
imagine if they're providing something for construction, and that would be.
Yeah, because the only other.
That would be rolling still. I mean, maybe a little different pickup.
Yeah, the only other option I was thinking about was like checking out a firehouse or something, because I've heard that firehouses can do CO2 fills sometimes.
Oh,
A lot of them
like
can.
like
Yeah.
fire supply.
Or just
That's-
like a firehouse, like a
Really?
fire
Because
station.
they'll have CO2 there.
Because they'll have CO2
I've
there.
heard that too.
Yeah.
I go to a fire supply place,
Do you?
and
Okay.
I guess so this guy, depending on where I go, there's one in Bradley and there's one in Joliet, and they do like if you have a fire extinguisher in the school, it's got the little tag on there from one of these two guys.
Okay.
I guess for fire extinguisher, CO2 is like the big pusher of the gas that sets that off of there. So they have these huge tanks in there, and but I don't know. That's where I go. But I'd imagine people still need fire extinguishers, and I think
Yeah.
where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, because the other option I was thinking about was to conserve my CO2 instead of forced carbing. doing like putting corn sugar in the keg and conditioning in the keg and then adding CO2 just for pushing, in order to conserve that. It's going to add some sediment to the bottom, something that I don't really want, but, it should be relatively minimal if I get a good draw out of my fermenter.
Yeah,
So
and
you're-
see, like
so
I'm.
what-
Sorry, go ahead.
So what you're thinking is you've got to make your CO2 last for the next 2 months.
Well, until I can figure something out. Yeah,
Okay,
And so I think I've got a fairly decent amount, but if I force carb another keg, it's going to use a bunch of it,
It's gonna use a lot. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, and
So-
I'm a CO2. I don't know if you would. I'm a CO2 hog, I guess you could say, because like I've been using it to do oxygen-free transfers with my. So I have this brew bucket, and so I made like a little fitting that I can put the CO2 on the top and push. When I go from one vessel to another with CO2, and it rips through it pretty quick. But boy, I never actually really thought about that. But the one good thing, the one little bit of forethought I had that. Well, it wasn't actually for this, but it just worked out that way, is that I just got my tank filled up like literally 2 weeks before,
Yeah.
all this kind of kicked off, and I've barely done much with it besides just, push the beer out of the tap.
The irony is I was thinking, well, this weekend I should really go and get it filled up just in case. And then today they do that. So
they didn't give any like
there's been
advance.
There's
number
been
of days before it takes effect.
There's been it might happen for like 2 weeks now. So you never knew when it was actually going to happen.
So the way it happened here is they announced it on a Friday, and it took place the next day at 5 p.m.
Mm.
Okay.
No such thing there.
No, I'm pretty sure it took place right away.
They said effective immediately. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Yuck indeed.
Yeah, it is.
So, but anyway, let's talk about something more fun.
I like it.
Yeah. So
anybody else had any good beers lately? Any good? Because I did.
Go ahead.
That's a loaded
start.
question because I brought that up.
Yeah, you
There you
start.
So
Let's
Energy
go.
City. I don't know where you guys are at with fruited sours, but it's weird that I have this can sitting here. I know that's weird, but my wife is like, she said, "Oh, stick the cans there," and I want to check in on Untapped on all these beers, and so we kept a few empties laying around. But I just had this Energy City Bistro smoothie, and this was my favorite. I had a peach, and then I had this guy here, and it's raspberry and blueberry.
Blackberry, or it says
It says right on there. It
Blueberry?
contains raspberry and blueberry.
Blueberry. Oh wow. Okay.
And boy, was this a damn good beer.
Yeah?
I mean, it was really good. It's like well, there was the whole thing with the 450 brewing and the slushy beers that they make, and those were really popular. There was a little controversy there because they weren't reporting their ABV, the same across the board or
It's
whatever.
fine.
But yeah, whatever, but these guys are on the I presume the up and up. This was 6%. It says for full flavor, and this is one thing that I have kind of seen at a couple of different bottle shops, and a lot of people haven't been doing. For full flavor, gently roll the can before serving. So you take this guy sideways and kind of give it a little baby
Wow.
massage, but it kind of gets that fruit in suspension, and then pour it into your glass, And I mean, this is so much where you take a swallow and it almost kind of, have you ever like a pulpy orange juice,
Right.
is that there's so much fruit in this thing that you're just kind of almost chewing it, when you swallow. But delicious. This was a really good one. And well, Energy City, they don't have a tap room, but they brew out of Church Street Brewing in Itasca.
Okay.
In Itasca, yeah. I remember them.
He's a contract brewer.
Sure.
And they do these once a month releases, and then they go to different different retail places, and they'll drop their beer off there. But man, that was really good. And that's something I'd like to create, like on a homebrew level.
Yeah.
But I'm a little worried about unfermented fruit. And, you know, if you add that at the keg stage, is that, you know, what's that going to do? Is it going to go crazy? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of, you know, and do you add like your potassium sorbate?
That's
to
what
keep
I
it
was thinking
from,
is, but
from
yeah.
fermenting, or
Yeah.
I don't know how exactly it's done. And that's something I'd like to kind of, you know, work on down the road.
Speaking from my wine making days, I would dive straight for the potassium sorbate.
Yeah, I would
just
agree.
to make sure that you don't have any issue with that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and
yeah.
if you're
I definitely don't want a bottle bomb, but I definitely don't want a keg bomb.
yeah, if you well, yeah,
yeah,
no kidding.
exactly.
And if you
a whole lot worse.
Blow the wall out.
If you
Yeah.
throw it in a keg with fruit pulp, I would definitely make sure it's finely ground fruit pulp, so you don't get clogged in your keg too.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think maybe something like maybe just some of the canned stuff that you'll find at like homebrew shops like that.
Yeah.
I forget what the brand, Oregon fruit preserves or
Yeah.
fruit puree or
Yep.
that sort of thing. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
George and I made some fruit beers in our early days, and it was always a secondary edition. And
Oh,
before
yeah.
we were ever going to bottles or kegs, it was clean at that point. And I felt like we did that right, and I still kind of feel that way.
Well,
Like-
but not if you want. We didn't do it right if you want the pulpy thing that he's got going on in that, because
Yeah, that's
we
true.
left
Yeah.
all that at the bottom with the with any leftover trube,
Right,
and
exactly.
just tried to extract the flavor. But
oh yeah, and I suppose that's a good point too. That kegs settle, and you can't take a keg sideways
and shake
and
it.
gently rock the keg before you drink it every damn time.
That's true.
Which is why
That's
I'm
true.
wondering
You know?
if they added that maybe at the canning stage.
Yeah, good question. I got nothing.
Yeah.
But definitely something I want to look into is how to reproduce something like that here in the garage, you know?
Yeah. No kidding.
That'd be a hell of a canning day.
Yeah, it would be.
You think,
At
right?
least what one would think, yeah.
Unless you
Well,
prep a
and-
bunch of cans with pulp at the bottom, like fruit pulp at the bottom, and then you fill it regular.
Just
Well, that
right
would-
on
that
top
would-
of it.
Yeah.
that would
why
have
not?
to go through the entire filling system too.
Well, the filling system is a wand that goes in and fills it up, and then the next. Right?
Exactly, and that thing is constantly pushing through little fruit pulps.
No. What I'm saying is actually put the fruit pulp at the bottom of the can before it goes through the canning system.
Oh.
And then just fill it with beer, essentially rack the beer on top of the pulp.
Do you really think that's more likely than pushing it through the filling system?
I don't know.
So my wife and I went to 450 Brewing in Indiana, and we were on a gymnastics thing for my daughter, and we went through there for lunch, and they had like 3 of those slushy beers on tap. And I was all fired up to try them. Like that was the one I had to try, you know, or whatever. And they said, oh, sorry, because it was a Sunday. And they said, oh, sorry, the one of the 3, oh, that blue. I said, oh, the keg blue? Okay, yeah, and we can't replace that on a Sunday. I said, well, okay, that's weird. Why is that? Just curious, I asked, you know. And they said, well, because the guy who knows how to clean out the lines after we change these beers out isn't here today. So it's not like your normal beer, because they said with these, there's so much fruit in them that the last couple of pours are so clumpy and
Right.
everything that the lines are completely
Settled at the bottom.
packed full of fruit by the
I
time
wonder
they
if
get to the keg, that they almost have to like blow it out with pressure,
Right.
and,
Blow it in
you know,
reverse.
run beer line cleaner through it
Yeah.
before they hook the new keg. There's a whole different process you do for a heavily fruited beer than you would any other beer, you know? So it was kind of crazy. It was like, man, I only got like 2 little tiny sample glasses of these beers. I mean, I'm not complaining. It was still good, but you know, like it's like all the slushies were offline. They were just like, nope, we don't deal with that shit on Sundays, you know, because they didn't want to mess around with all that fruit. So,
All right, fellas. Unfortunately, I'm out. I'll be right back.
uh-oh.
Okay. I'm embarrassed to do this, but I got to look up slushy beer.
The 450 slushies. So yeah, I mean I had the taste I had was really good. I mean, it's literally, but I think that was, so I don't know, did you hear about the whole ABV thing? Not to put them on blast or whatever, but
No, I really haven't.
so they were taking gravity readings of their beer pre-fruit edition, right? So they were taking like gravity readings of the Berliner before they would add the rest of the fruit and juice to it. right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you get a certain ABV, but then you add in fruit afterward, which then waters down their product, right?
Oh,
So then they
yeah.
had a person online who put their beer
Yeah.
through like a lab, and they were advertising like 8.5%, which is what the base beer was, right? And
Yeah.
then they ended up getting like 3.2.
Oh, wow.
That was everybody's thing. It's like, how are these beers 8.5? It tastes like I'm drinking fruit juice. I could drink this all day, and wow, it really hides this ABV super well, but the error that they made there was that they weren't testing the finished product that they were putting
Right.
into cans,
Right.
It's like I could make a really, 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 really high ABV beer and then cut it with, whatever, coffee, fruit juice, whatever kind of adjuncts, and that's going to water it down. And so was the mistake they made. So they got kind of put on. It doesn't make it any less delicious, though.
All right, so new one. Let's see. 1 Foot in the Black, smoked black IPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smoked.
It's a
Oh,
pine
no.
smoked and
No,
roasty
no.
notes. And so
you're in two opposite sides of the beer spectrum there. You got
Well, and it's
smoked and you got IPA.
and it's a black IPA. So
Yeah,
it's got
that
like
too,
black
yes.
lager notes to it too. But this is part of that whole thing. Remember Homeward Hound and everything I was drinking on one of them?
Yeah.
This is another one of those charity beers that this one supports the Wildland Firefighters Foundation.
Oh, right on.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's 7%. This one's only a 12 ouncer and it's a smoked black IPA. So,
Wow. Okay. Bottoms up. What's your take on that?
oh, dang. Yeah.
Oh,
All right,
dang.
well, very first thing is smoke. But not overwhelmingly so. It's not like drinking a cigar or anything like that.
Yeah, it's with smoked beers. It's a very gentle thing,
Yeah.
Your beer can turn into liquid ribs, and
Yes. Yeah. This isn't that. So there are other characters, but the IPA I think gets a little lost in the smoke. So I'm not getting the bitterness of an IPA. But I am getting the roasty notes of like a black lager, although I don't think it was lagered, like a black ale kind of situation. So I feel like I have like a Rausch beer stout IPA thing going on here. But it's
the
not
bitter
bad.
notes you can
creative.
still catch.
Just a little bit. They kind of get lost a little bit.
I would think it would. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get, especially if they're going to support firefighters, I get why they went with the smoked beer.
smoke, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that
But-
makes sense.
Yeah, it's from Devil's Backbone, which is also a Virginia brewery, sort of.
My beer has a little kiss of smoke that I'm drinking also.
Yeah. Okay.
So this one here is another home brew. So Jason, actually years ago, I don't know if you guys brewed it together, but you made a smoked porter.
Yes, we did. We did
Yeah,
that
You
together.
guys both did that together,
Yep.
and that beer was delicious. Actually, that was one of the things I was thinking about when I was making this one here. So I did cold smoked malt on my I have an offset grill smoker kind of setup,
Mhm.
and
Nice.
I did it over applewood pellets. I
I
did a
think
bunch
that's
of
what I
cheese
used too. Was
at the same
Applewood.
time. Yeah, because apples, it's a little more mellow. I
Yeah.
wasn't looking for like a hickory where, again, I don't want liquid ribs in my beer, or liquid brisket in my beer. But so I used 3 pounds of smoked malt in this, and I was trying to go for like kind of like a vanilla thing or a s'mores thing. So I have Madagascar vanilla
Okay.
and cacao nibs in there, and it turned out pretty good.
Good.
I put a pound of lactose in this.
Good choice.
My wife likes it. My wife likes it more than I do because to me it kind of tastes like smoky chocolate milk.
Did you
But
put any?
See, that sounds really good to me.
It does
I would
sound
enjoy
pretty
that.
Well, and so I brought it to our last in-person meeting, and who knows how long that'll be for a while. But and everyone was liking it, but me, and that's one of those weird things. It's like kind of how we were talking about
Yeah.
before. I was like, "You guys really like this?" And they're, "Oh,
Yep.
damn, this is delicious." And I'm like, well, "Okay,
So last time someone did like a s'mores beer like that, they smoky, they put vanilla in to simulate the marshmallows and things. Did you do anything for like a graham cracker kind of thing?
Yeah. So when you make pie, you can get these. It's like a graham cracker crumbs, like a whole box of the crumbs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're already pre-pulverized, right? And I used 3 boxes of that in the mash.
Does it come through at all?
I don't get much of that
Okay.
because, again, it's so many different flavors that it's hard to pick that. It's kind of subtle. I have heard, like, if I were to brew this again, I have heard of people putting graham flour
Okay.
into mash to kind of get that graham cracker kind of thing going on. But let me see. I'm trying to think of what yeast I used on this.
I think the
I
last
used
person.
Imperial Pub on this one.
I think the last person I ran into that did that, you use biscuit malt and what else did they use? Might have been just graham crackers, if I'm honest.
I can consult my
definitely-
electronic brain here and tell you.
Definitely use biscuit malt. So, Scott, have you ever done a smoked beer?
Yeah, but I did a Pivo Grodzieski for Dingus Day, and so I just bought the smoked
nice.
wheat for that.
Okay.
I've never smoked.
That's a
the wheat
great
myself.
style. I love that style. I've judged
Yeah.
those a couple times.
And we're Buffalo is the Dingus Day capital of the world, so it's huge. We are to Dingus Day what Boston or Chicago is to St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow. Okay.
do you put smoke flavoring in your rivers?
No, we don't. No, they probably already have that.
Yeah, it's there 24/7.
But it's huge. The fact that they already canceled it this year is super sad for Buffalo.
Oh, that is sad.
When does that typically take place?
The day after Easter.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Oh.
the Polish anti-Lent. Basically, it's Mardi Gras on the other side.
Okay. Interesting.
That's
So it's
awesome.
the
I
Monday
love
after
that.
Easter, and there's huge parades, and
I work
everyone's wearing red.
I work with a bunch of guys from Poland. I wonder if they're, familiar.
No.
Dingus Day Buffalo, the Dingus Day capital of the world. Dingus
right.
Day, the annual post-Lenten bash, attracts tens of thousands of Buffalo, New York people to celebrate spring, show Polish pride. Oh boy, this
Well,
is gonna be bad.
Hang on.
My last name is Promise, but I was told by my aunt who did some family tree stuff that we were Prominski when we came over here. So on
Okay.
Ellis
Oh.
Island, they
Probably
changed
some
it
Polish
to
in that.
Promise. So
A
I'm
little
into
bit.
it. What's that?
Okay.
I said a little bit, yeah. Jason, what were you about to mangle?
Here's what I was gonna mangle: flirt with pussy willows and listen to the best polka bands in the nation.
Yes. The tradition
What's,
is
what's the pussy willow link?
the tradition is Pussy Willows versus water. So the ladies, oh man, I haven't been out to one in a while. I think the ladies will attack the men with Pussy Willows, and the men will attack the ladies with water. Hey, anything that drunk people.
This sounds
can
like a
do
party.
to
This
keep
does
each
sound
other
like a
wet and-
party.
It is
Man.
a party. It's
We might have to do a.
Drink some smoky beers and splash some water around. Let's do it, fellas.
dance
Next
to
year.
some
Come on
polka
down, guys.
bands.
Next year.
Yeah. We might have to do a
that's
road
part of it
trip.
too. Yeah, sure. I've only driven through Buffalo on the way to Niagara. I've never spent time there.
Yeah, I think we went through Buffalo on the way to Toronto to see a Rush concert. So
As you do, of course.
yeah,
As
yeah,
you do.
yeah. But yeah, we'll just crash at Scott's place and go over to
That's
the yeah.
Done. Sounds like a plan.
All right,
As soon as we can be closer than 6 feet to each other.
right, yeah.
I wonder if, because I come from a Polish family as well, and I don't remember Dingus Day coming up in conversation with my Polish family, who's all out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Well, and you'd
So
think
now I have questions.
you'd think with all the Polish people out in Chicago that it would have come
It
up
would be a
once or
thing,
twice too.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, but I guess since we have Casimir Pulaski Day, that I guess that overtook it. Maybe.
It could be, yeah.
Not everybody. My district didn't get General Pulaski's Day.
Seriously?
Dang it. No. But that's okay. That's all right.
I mean,
That's all right.
like-
I'm not salty about it. Got plenty of
You sound a
got plenty
little
of
salty.
mellow days that I did not expect off this semester. So I can't complain at all.
touche.
Yeah.
Scott's pouring something there.
Well, yeah. What is it? Looks like a homebrew.
It is. It's a Flanders Red that is apparently
Out of a
not
bomber.
very
Okay.
carbonated.
Oh,
Okay. Oh, and it's a bomber too. He's going serious.
And not extremely oaky. I just grabbed from my back room, like, I wonder what I got. It's a Flanders Red.
Okay.
So tell us about that. Did you use Rosalaire or?
I did. Yeah, I used Rosalaire blend. I left it underneath these stairs. I don't know if I can move the camera
It
enough
takes
so you can
forever,
see underneath
right?
those stairs, but that's where I keep everything that I'm aging. So I left it under there for a year, and I would throw.
That's everyone
oak
I've heard is
spirals
made
in
of
it.
Flanders. Yeah, it's about that kind of a weight on it.
Yeah. Now every sour I do is just a kettle sour. And,
Okay.
And because waiting a year and finding out, you didn't put enough oak in there.
Yeah, that's
That
rough.
sucked.
Yeah.
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 But,
I keep threatening to do a yogurt sour, which is kind of a form of kettle sour.
The kettle souring I do is all with probiotic. With
Yeah.
a probiotic drink. It
Well, I
works
yeah,
have-
the
super well.
lacto. I mean, that lactobacillus that comes out of yogurt is the same whether you buy it from a local homebrew store
Well,
or
I
get it out of. I mean, lactobacillus is lactobacillus.
and I fell in love with
Rosalaire.
and actually my wife did too, which is saying something because she doesn't like beer. Fell in love with a skyr sour over in Iceland, and I've been making skyr here, and so I've been considering taking some of that and using that in my beer to create a kettle sour and do that. So
Yeah, I'd love to find out more about making skyr.
it's actually not that difficult. You need a
You
few
have
things.
no
but
idea what you're talking about.
it's an Icelandic yogurt. It's kind of like Greek yogurt, but a little bit different. It tends to be
Okay.
sweeter and have a slightly thicker consistency. So, but
Okay.
it
That's made from cow's milk.
yeah from
Okay. Okay.
from non-fat cow's milk, so it's naturally fat-free.
Nice.
And
Okay.
and you add a little bit of fruit to it, and it's really, really good.
Sounds
And
awesome. Yeah.
the breakfast buffet that it was in the hotel when we were over there was terrible. So I basically lived on the stuff for breakfast while I was over there and kind of fell in love with it. So
Well, when you're traveling, probiotics is always a good call.
always a good call. Yeah.
All that water you're not used to and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, that's one thing they have in spades is really, really good water. They have some of the best water in the world over there because of all the volcanic rock and everything naturally filtering everything. But, foods I wasn't familiar with and everything, the probiotics definitely help.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a good point. So I feel that your traditionally soured beers, you don't get as many of those anymore. Like a
Yeah.
Rosalaire blend or something that sat and got sour in a barrel for a long amount of time. It seems that more and more of your beer now has been kind of kettle soured. But I got to be honest, I'm super jealous of your beer, Scott. That looks delicious.
It's not, but
It's not.
it looks great.
What's wrong with it? Or are you just being hypercritical?
No, it should be much more carbonated and oaky, and it has neither of those things to it.
So what if you
So
were
when
to
you
take
bottled, did you?
What if you were to
Sorry, go ahead.
take your bottles, open them up, throw them in a keg with a spiral, and carbonate it?
Yeah, I have another spiral. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. I'm
So
trying to think
when
if I
you
have a smaller
bottled,
keg,
did you
get a
use any
smaller keg.
additional yeast or?
I'm sorry. Say that again. I was talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you bottled, did you use any kind of additional yeast or anything or?
Yeah, I think it was 05 or no. Good chance it was something like a champagne yeast
Mm-hmm.
at the
Okay.
end. I mean,
Huh.
both of them are going to be super neutral at the end there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And didn't give you any extra fizz there.
No, apparently not in this bottle at least. No, but that's a good idea to spiral it and put it in a keg. I just got to get myself a small keg now.
Well, I like I was saying, I can't remember if you were here or not, but Jason and I both have a 2.5 gallon keg. It's a ball lock, and that thing is pretty nifty, and it would work pretty well for you in that, I think, depending on how big your spiral is.
Yeah. Well, I've got a very big spiral.
Okay. Well,
how big was
you don't
how
have
big
to.
was
Normal
that?
size spiral. It's a normal sized oak spiral about that big.
You know, the distance between your pinky and your thumb, that's about the average spiral.
I could not resist. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
I have very long fingers, so that doesn't translate. That doesn't. Kind of off topic. This light I just put above my head. What do you think about this one?
Oh, it's not
I
too
think it
bad.
adds something.
Yeah, that's something.
See, yeah, you're not washed out. Everything looks fine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm super preoccupied.
So what
But
kind
loving
of
the listening?
What kind of music are you gonna play?
Whatever. When I do a solo gig and they let me do tips, if they let me do tips, I'll say it's $1 for a request, and I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it. But it's $5 to stop a song.
Oh.
So if somebody comes up and tells me, let's do Sweet Caroline, and I start Sweet Caroline, and somebody else goes, I hate this song. You're like, all right, that's $5, and you got to tell me what song to start right away, and I'll start the new song.
Okay.
So I walk up with 6. It's like, stop.
Yep.
Play
and then
this.
you keep going, and
Yeah.
someone will come
There
up
you
with
go.
5. Be like, nope, this one costs 5. You gotta stop this one now.
Is there a website that accommodates this?
No, I'll just be on Facebook Live. Are you
Okay.
saying like my personal website? No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you search
feel
my
like
name
maybe,
on YouTube, there's a bunch of me singing in various bands, but otherwise, no.
Okay.
Right
I
on.
feel like low key, if you wanted to get a lot of tips, you could just in the middle of a set throw out some really annoying songs.
Right. Like somebody
have
requested
people wanna
Barbie
come up
Girl.
with the
you know?
People
Yeah,
do their
exactly.
own terrible requests.
I mix a whiskey drink. I mix a vodka drink. Shut up! Here's $5. Sing something decent.
You know what? There's always somebody who hates Brown Eyed Girl.
What's wrong with
And-
Brown
and-
Eyed Girl?
I love Brown Eyed Girl. Listen, I'll play whatever people want to hear, so I have no prejudices against any song. But some people do, and they're willing to pay to stop it.
Well, I'm telling you, if they pay, especially right now, if they pay to stop Sweet Caroline, not only do they have to pick the next song, they have to explain why they hate hockey.
I like that. Yeah. Get on the mic and tell everybody why you want this song.
Or the Red Sox too, right? Isn't that a big Red Sox thing?
Oh, I don't know.
I think they sing it
I'm
at
not
yeah, I
sure.
think they
Is it-
sing
do
it at
they?
Fenway also. Yeah.
Okay, it's just been at every hockey game I've ever been to is Sweet Caroline has played.
Gotcha.
So Jason, how are you feeling about opening day?
You know,
Didn't it
I would
pass?
I would feel a lot better if I knew
soon.
exactly when the first baseball games would be happening.
Yeah. I
So,
don't know, man.
It's,
Yeah,
I mean,
I-
this really, I am sad about that. I really am. I mean, this is a huge American pastime that's not happening right now, and you know, I get.
Hope they at
I
least get 70 games in, 60, something. Give
yeah,
us a season. You
yeah,
know?
and that's part of the thing that's that's unsettling for me is not knowing what that picture is going to look like as to when baseball is going to start and how many games there's going to be and what the season is going to be like.
Yeah.
So
Would this be if they just called it? Would this be the first year since it started that there wasn't a baseball season?
I believe so. I don't
Because there's been
I'm-
lockouts and strikes, but I don't believe they always got it together in enough time to get a season together.
I would
Right.
have to look up if, like, in past years during wartime, if they canceled whole seasons. I want to say the answer is no, but
Well,
I'm not totally sure.
Isn't that the whole plot to A League of Their Own?
True. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because people
I don't
start following the
don't
ladies
know-
instead of
Yeah, because Tom Hanks,
their traditional games because they
the
needed
ladies
yeah.
played baseball.
Because the men were off at war.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you never seen League of Their
I'm
Own?
not sure if I have.
Shit, you're
definitely
missing
have
out.
seen-
It's a pretty good flick.
Scott,
I've seen chunks of it.
Jason has massive gaps in his.
I do. I do. You know, can we go around? Actually, I was just thinking about this a couple days ago. This would be a good topic here. Like, because I know everyone has their list of like movies they're totally embarrassed to say they've never seen before. Like George, if you had to name one, like your top of the list
that I've never seen before.
That you're embarrassed to say that you've never seen before.
Right.
Like all the way through?
Yeah. Or yeah.
Because there's ones I've seen bits and pieces of that everybody loves, but yeah.
Case in point for me is League of Their Own. I've seen big chunks of it, probably 20, 30-minute pieces, but never all the way through. So that would qualify.
Okay.
You should be embarrassed.
Honestly, I got a way worse one than that. And I'll save that for the end.
Okay.
But at least I want to set the stage here.
You know, for as much of a classic movie buff as I am, like I'm a big fan of Hitchcock and other ones I can't remember the names of right now. I've never seen Citizen Kane.
Okay.
The whole way
Me
through.
neither.
Okay. And
okay.
And especially in college, I just devoured classic movies.
Okay.
And I've never seen that.
Okay. All right. I will say it's overrated.
Yeah, but it's one of those that is like
yes, it's a classic film school movie.
It's one of those AFI movies, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's rated number 1 on many.
I was going to say it might even be number 1.
Might even be number 1, yeah.
Yeah, on a lot of lists too. Yeah.
So
what about you, Scott?
Star Wars.
Like for real?
You've never seen
Any
Star
of them.
Wars?
Any of them?
Any of
I
them?
haven't seen any of the newer
crap.
ones.
All right, now there is one that I've seen.
The only one you need to see is Empire.
When I was in high school,
Agreed.
episode 1 came out. When I was, I don't know, a senior or a junior.
Natalie Portman and
Yeah.
I saw episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about the re-release when they did the enhanced?
No,
special
he's talking
effects
about episode 1. Not
yeah, like Natalie
not A
Portman,
New
Hayden
Hope.
Christensen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jar Jar
okay.
Binks.
Okay.
Right.
That's the one Star Wars
freaking
I've
Jar
ever
Jar
seen,
Binks.
and I saw it once in the theater when it came out, and that was it.
Yeah. Now, if that's your introduction to Star Wars, I understand why you hit the eject button.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
also Godfather, Scarface, Mafia movies. I've never seen any of the Mafia movies.
Scarface is overrated. The Godfather 1 and 2 definitely are
Casino.
and Casino
never.
and what is the other one where they end up in witness protection at the end?
Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, thank you. Yeah.
Mm.
That's really good.
About everything else,
The,
though, I'm good. But Star Wars and
Irish-
Mafia movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Irishman was also in the same vein. That's what I think everybody kind of loved about it, was that it was like a kind of a throwback to those movies, The Irishman.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
long as you can handle Scorsese in 3.5 hours.
3 hours, yeah, 3+ hours. We
Yeah.
took it. We took it in 2 different doses. You know, we did 2 hours one night, hour and a half the next.
So what about you, Kevin?
I've ever
Any
seen.
movies that you
I'm embarrassed to say this out loud, but I have never seen all besides maybe 15 minutes of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Ooh.
A classic 80s party
Yeah.
teenage kind of movie, and everybody loves it. And Jeff Spicoli and Aloha, Mr. Hant. Like I don't understand. I get the reference that it's from that movie,
Right.
but I honestly, God, I haven't sat and watched that entire movie before.
I've never seen any of it.
Really?
So don't feel too bad.
I think
Yeah.
you'd
Okay.
enjoy that
All
one,
right.
Jason.
Still a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
I'll tell you,
Sean
I
Penn,
did-
that was his breakout movie, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
going back to what George was saying about like classic movie binges and like kind of absorbing that. I'm on a bit of that right now, at least on a much smaller scale. I just watched The Breakfast Club for the first time about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
Oh God,
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
movie.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, as a high school teacher,
Oh, yeah.
that movie, and a guy who's supervised plenty of
Detentions.
detentions.
Yeah.
you know,
Hopefully you don't
that's,
identify
I've
with
been
the
there.
teacher.
What's that?
Hopefully you don't identify with that principal that was in
No,
there.
he's an asshole. If anything, I think if anything, I'm more I feel like I'm kind of the Judd Nelson.
The
kind
Judd
of.
Nelson character. Everybody wants to be the Judd
More the
Nelson
Judd
character.
Nelson guy.
Yeah.
Kevin, what subject do you teach?
Special ed. So I do a
Oh,
little bit
awesome.
of everything throughout my day. I do a lot of co-teaching, and so I have English, history, algebra, and that's it. But two
Okay.
sections of history.
I've done high school, but I'm a music teacher, so I'm at the elementary school now.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm on IMDb. I'm looking to see if there's a Scorsese film I've ever seen.
Really?
Any Martin Scorsese film.
Any Scorsese film. All right. Well, you tell me if there is.
Gangs
Jason.
of New York.
Okay.
You seen Gangs of New York?
I saw Gangs of New York.
Okay. All right.
There was a working theory that they hired Scorsese to film the fake moon landing, but he wanted to get it right, so they made him go, be live on set on the moon.
I've heard that rumor too.
But anyway, Jason, what is this movie? You
Yeah, and honestly, this came up in conversation already. I've never seen Goodfellas.
Goodfellas.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
a
I
good
stole
one.
that one. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good
No,
one.
it's. I mean, honestly, it's a top 10 movie of really pretty much our lifetimes, and
Yeah.
that one I've seen about 10 to 15-minute chunks, and that's been it.
This might be controversial, and apparently, Kevin, you might be the only one that can back me up on this, but Goodfellas might be the best mob movie.
Man, it's up there. I'm a
Yeah.
Casino guy.
I mean,
like
I like
Casino.
Casino, and really Untouchables is good too, but that's not really a mob movie. It's a more about the other side of the coin.
There's
as it were.
definitely
You guys are
there's
forgetting
elements of it.
Godfather here. Come on.
No, I'm not. I really honestly think
Do you
Goodfellas.
honestly think those are higher than
I
Godfather?
honestly think Goodfellas might be better
Ooh.
than Godfather 2, which is arguably the best of that series.
Yeah.
Because Godfather 3, let's just.
No, not even. That's
That
not
was-
even in the conversation.
That was
I
the
agree.
Fredo.
Terrible.
Yeah,
That
no,
was
I-
the Fredo of Godfather movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
Godfather
don't know.
was
As far
just,
as
it was
Sorry, go
so
ahead.
far ahead of its time. That's the thing that stands out most about that movie.
Hey, stop. Brewdog's heard from. So
your dogs have strong opinions about mafia movies.
they do. They have strong
Really?
opinions about everything. So all right, let's flip the script. Instead of things we haven't seen, what is your favorite? Like if you had to put a flag in the ground and say this is my favorite movie,
Okay.
what would that be?
Who goes first? Me?
You certainly can.
Why not?
You've got the most
Sure.
movie experience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Honestly, if you put a gun to my head and said I had to pick one, I'd go with Back to the Future.
God, what a
One,
great movie.
two,
Yeah,
one.
it's
Solid choice.
yeah,
You
one.
count them as a trilogy?
You could. I mean, for sake of conversation, I'll just say Back to the Future 1.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get
there's
it.
an argument about Back to the Future 2. Yes, it's an excellent sequel, but Back to the Future 1 is a damn near perfect movie.
It is. It's
agree.
also absurdly ridiculous if you really think about it, but it is a damn good movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, it's just like picking your favorite kid.
It's
It
it's
is.
tough.
It is. It's tough. I've got it in my head, but Scott, what about you?
Trying to think of there's a couple of movies I can't turn off.
Okay.
Like whenever I go past them, I can't turn them off. Rudy is one of those movies. The Rockies are one of those movies. Any of the Rockies except 4, which I think is highly overrated.
Oh,
Oh.
it's controversial.
Oh.
Right? And
Oh,
5
with Ivan Drago?
Yeah.
Oh shit, man! I
Highly
thought they
overrated.
redeemed themselves on 4. I thought they were cooling off on 3 and brought the heat on 4.
as soon as that movie starts and there's a robot, right, taking orders from Polly, and the robot's like, "I love you, Polly." You're like, "What is this? What is this movie? This movie is terrible." Spinal Tap and Ghostbusters. If it came down to it, if I could only keep one ever, it's probably Ghostbusters.
That's a solid
Okay,
choice.
That's Ghostbusters is a
Yeah.
solid choice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
the best I can do. It's got to be
Ooh.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
It might be Aykroyd's maybe best movie.
No, On anything Mel Brooks
Oh my God.
or the Zuckers and Abrams films.
Okay,
Airplane
honestly,
and-
this is slightly controversial. I think the best Mel Brooks movie, Blazing Saddles.
well, of course.
That's not controversial.
Okay,
Right?
it is in my
That's-
house.
no,
In
no.
my
But
house, there's an
No.
argument between Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein.
No.
Oh, see, I
no,
think
no.
Spaceballs beats it by a skosh.
Wow. Okay, this is more of a debate than I thought. No.
So,
No,
Kevin, what about
Blazing
you?
Saddles is classic.
It is. It is.
Dramatic, I'm going Braveheart.
Okay.
Never saw it.
And comedy, oh man, comedy. I gotta say maybe Borat. I have never laughed.
Borat.
Yes, Borat. I've never laughed in my life as hard as I did during the scene on Borat because it's like a movie nobody's ever made before, right?
Right.
Like it's like a completely new concept because it's kind of real, but it's not. And that scene where he chases his producer through that freaking it was like some kind of workshop for like these hundreds of people, and he comes running through chasing that guy with a rubber fist. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you
I
know
think
what
I
I'm
do.
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
That
yeah.
scene,
I
or the
remember.
scene where the
Yeah.
kids come up to the ice cream truck and there's a freaking bear in the ice cream truck. Like all those kind of like I literally couldn't breathe. I was
Okay.
like couldn't take a breath. Like I was like turning purple. Like I was like dying laughing.
All right.
The hardest I've ever laughed in any movie I've ever seen in my life.
Everybody's like, because we've all seen it once.
Yeah.
That was about
Yeah,
it. Like,
that's
remember
about
that part?
it,
like,
yeah.
No.
That would not be
I'm
my
telling
first
you,
choice.
It's my
but-
favorite. It's
Yeah.
and then for kitschy kind of like you know, I gotta go. Listen, I know this is weird, but I can't get enough Roadhouse.
Oh no, I totally get it.
Okay.
Roadhouse,
Dude, Roadhouse is like-
spectacularly
it's-
awful
it's-
movie.
Yeah, it was
Right?
bad,
It's
but like
campy.
in such a great
Yeah,
way.
yeah. No.
I love
Yeah.
Roadhouse so much.
I totally get it.
That
Yeah,
has its place. There's no doubt.
yeah.
Can't turn it up.
Yeah.
Tombstone.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's a
Western.
that's a
Yeah, there you
solid
go.
choice.
Yeah.
Never seen
That is a
Tombstone.
solid choice.
Do yourself a favor, Scott.
I was
Like if
gonna
you
say,
if you
convince
like
me, I should go watch.
if you
Tombstone.
like Western movies at all, Tombstone is
Yeah, Tombstone's badass.
yeah, it's
Have
badass.
you never seen it, Scott?
What's the song from Tombstone?
The song from Tombstone.
Yeah, it's
I
got to
don't
have a song,
remember any
right? What's the
music.
song?
I don't remember.
I know
don't think-
Young Guns had the
well,
Bon
that was
Jo-
that's
Young
Bon
Guns
Jovi,
had-
Young
It
Guns.
had
Yeah,
Blaze of Glory, right?
Blaze of Glory. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if
I'm looking up
Tombstone
the
did Tombstone
Tombstone
have a
soundtrack.
big soundtrack hit.
I don't remember them
There was a
having
thing
it.
there in the '90s for a while. It was like when you come out with a big blockbuster in the '90s,
It's got to have a
like
song.
you got to have some kind of like killer.
Well, that's
you
what
know,
I was
Kiss
thinking.
from a Rose, you
right?
know, with the Batman and like.
Let's
Right.
go.
Like,
Right.
Let's go to
They would
IMDb.
co-
See what
They would
have.
contract out with a major artist and they would record a song specifically for that.
like, hey,
movie.
make a
Yeah.
special hit song for our new.
Right.
coming
Right.
up.
That's right. Yeah. Kiss from a Rose is a good example of that.
Got some good people in it as I'm looking right now.
Yeah, it does.
Val
Yeah.
Kilmer's performance in that movie is maybe the best acting performance you'll ever see.
That's got a lot of people in it. Holy
Yeah.
cow!
It might be Val Kilmer's best for sure.
Oh no, it's 100% Val Kilmer's best.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'm Your Huckleberry has been in my vocabulary ever since that movie came out.
Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Kurt Russell,
Yeah.
Charlton Heston. I mean, come on, Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, the cast. I mean, it's an
It's a
ensemble
who's who.
cast,
Sure.
and Jason Priestley is in it.
Jason Priestley, yeah.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, he's got a brief.
Michael Rooker.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Now,
Yeah.
oop, I vibrated. No, I'm good.
Yeah, that's. If I gotta put a stake
Billy
in the
Zane
ground,
is in that movie.
Billy Zane is in that movie. If I gotta put a stake in the ground, that's the one.
That's a solid choice.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. I'll go watch this.
But if we're talking Billy Zane,
Hold on.
I
Frank
got-
Stallone is in this movie.
he is. Yeah.
And did Frank Stallone not get on the soundtrack?
No, the soundtrack is really minimal in this movie, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you sure it doesn't have like a Kenny Loggins
I don't think
theme
so.
song?
I really don't. But
Oh,
you
it's
know,
got Robert Mitchum. Got friggin' Robert Mitchum.
I'm honestly a little jealous that I'm imagining you're gonna go watch it now, and it'll be your first time watching it, and
The first time viewing
It
experience.
is.
Yeah.
It'll be my first time watching Tombstone.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
What a great time to catch up on old movies. You feel
That's a good point.
like you never, you know, oh, I should have watched that by now.
yeah.
You know, this seems like
Absolutely.
the perfect time to catch up on all of those. So,
Yeah. So, all right.
well, guys, I just got a text that the tacos are done.
Okay. Well,
And,
can't
my
compete
wife
with
is home
tacos.
from work,
What time is it
and
there?
7:40 Central.
7:38.
Man, we eat at like AARP time. We had dinner at 4.
Oh, damn.
My wife at the hospital, she works 12. She works 7 A to
Wow.
7 P.
Makes
And
sense.
Okay.
so
Oh,
she's
okay.
usually home like by 7:45. So I tell the kids like we do like on a regular day an after school snack
Okay.
where they stay full, you know, so until the time summer comes home, and then we can all eat dinner together. So
Do you have them
Right
cooking? Are they old enough to do that?
my oldest made the tacos tonight. I mean, I put
Nice.
it on
Okay.
for her. I chopped everything up and laid everything out and said, okay,
Play with
handle it
fire.
from here. But-
Yeah.
but she
Okay.
did the meat and all that stuff for it. So
All right.
Well done.
All right, man.
Great.
Well, if you gotta step out, that's totally fine. Good talking to you.
all right, guys.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're just gonna talk about you when you leave.
I mean, my ears will be burning. It's all good.
Yeah.
Cheers, man. Kevin,
All
thank
right,
you so
guys.
much
Have a
for
good
joining.
one.
All right.
All right, later on.
See ya.
I'm gonna open one more.
All right.
Not the Flanders red though. I'm gonna. Ooh, you should see this.
Okay. Jason, you were a little behind, so we didn't actually get to do the.
There.
Ooh, what's that?
This is the screen on which I display my lyrics when I'm singing. And
Okay.
The camera goes right on top of it, so I can read the lyrics and still look at the audience.
I was wondering how you did that. If you just had like an encyclopedic knowledge of
I
all things
know
music.
a lot of songs, but no, I still like to have them in front of me.
Okay.
But I had you guys on here too, so I can look forward at the camera and still see you. And then when he left, it just dropped it to this vertical, looking awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Like, wow, everybody fits here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Put it back.
You were saying, George?
What was I saying?
I was a little late joining. but-
Oh, so we didn't get our intro music.
I know.
But,
Yeah, we didn't properly introduce the
You want a theme song?
the stream either.
we have a theme song.
We have a theme song. Have you
Is
not
it
heard
an
it?
original theme song?
It is an original theme
It's-
song. Or did he borrow it from something? I don't know.
I'm not going to play anything, but you got to see my strap because
Yeah,
it says
okay.
my name and it has a hop leaf
There you go. I do
hop
like that.
cone.
Nice.
Yeah.
and some grain.
Some grain. Yeah. I like that.
Right. Well, I can't use it for school with the elementary schoolers, so
Why
I
not?
have to use it for. With the hops and the grains.
Yeah.
There's some super savvy kids in my school too. Be like, oh, you got a beer thing there? Yes, I do, son. Yes, I do.
Hey, if they know about it, what's the harm, right?
One of the kids, I got a Bills sweatshirt. Of course, as you do.
Right?
I didn't realize it until it was a dress down day and it was a Bills game. It had a Labatt Blue logo right here. Right, and the kid goes, "My dad works for Labatt." And I was playing guitar like, "Oh, it's really interesting. Thanks for telling me." Right, and then he points to it like, "Oh, it's on my shirt. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
can
All
never
right.
wear this shirt again. I'm wearing a beer shirt." in school."
Is that just how you feel about it, or is that there's some kind of
no?
rule
It's not.
against
Yeah,
that?
it's not a thing.
No, it's not a thing. Okay.
Nope. I'm thinking about getting a tattoo here of the 4 ingredients.
Okay.
Just
Water,
a
malt,
line
hops, and
drawing.
yeast.
But yeah,
Yeah.
You know what? That's a solid tattoo choice.
That is a solid tattoo.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
I'm not against tattoos. I just have never had anything that I'm like, I want to permanently
Well,
ink this on my body.
I have
That's
0.
that's exactly how I feel about it. No, I have 0 also.
Yeah.
George, you don't have any ink either, do you?
No. Like I said, I've
Yeah,
never
all
found
right, all three of us.
anything that I
Yeah.
just. But again, I'm not against it. I just if I
Right.
encounter something and I'm like, all right, that's it, then
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. But
Well, my wife's name is Sam, and in high school I almost did it. I wanted to get her name on the bottom of my foot.
it's a weird
'Cause
place.
That was Toy Story time in high school,
Okay.
right? So if I got her name there and we started dating in high school, and people were like, "Well, what if you break up?" Like, well, that we're not gonna.
That's
we
not the
didn't.
plan. Yeah.
But that's right. I actually did have a plan because her name was Sam, and I'm like, well, I'll just get this foot tattooed, foot, and then I'll put an E at the end of this one, and it'll say same. And that's my plan. This foot will be foot, and this one will be.
That's
same.
some like. Remember when Johnny Depp had Winona and he changed it to Wino?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta have a plan.
You gotta have a
an
plan B. Yeah, exactly.
I named both of my kids 4 letters just in case I wanted to Jake and Elwood up my my knuckles.
Yeah. Oh man, that's the second time Blues Brothers has come up too, Jason.
Oh, yeah, that could easily be. That's in top 3 of all-time great movies.
Yeah, I am with you, especially comedy movies. I am definitely with you on that.
And Blues Brothers 2000, being a terrible movie, is still in my top 10 because of the music.
The music is really good. It's not a very good movie, but the music is
No,
good
it's
in
not.
that. Yeah, no.
Movie-wise, it's terrible. And John Goodman is not John Belushi, but
No.
But music-wise, especially when they get to the end and they've got B.B. King up there and they've got literally every alive blues musician on the stage at the time.
Yeah.
It's like, the other Scorsese movie I saw was The Last Waltz.
Okay.
It's like
Of
watching
all
The
of
Last
them, you
Waltz.
saw The Last Waltz?
Yeah, the band.
I guess, yeah.
I'm a music teacher. That's the kind of stuff I do.
Yeah.
Like, mafia movie? Nah. The Last
No.
Waltz featuring
Yeah.
the band. Awesome.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. Oh man. As far as college movies though, I wouldn't go my favorite college movie has to be PCU. It would be that over the one
Only
that,
saw that once.
Belushi was in.
Animal House.
Animal House, that's the one, yeah. But yeah,
Animal
PCU.
House is great.
Animal House is great. Don't get me wrong, but PCU, especially with George Clinton at the end of it, you know, that movie comes together so well.
That's the one with the shirt. You're wearing the shirt of the band you're going to see?
Yes.
Don't be that guy.
Don't
I
be
still
that
say
guy. Yeah.
George has told me that on many
Right?
occasions. Don't
Based
be
on
that
the one
guy.
time I've seen that movie. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Van Wilder
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
becomes better knowing Ryan Reynolds now,
Yeah.
right? Like if he turned out to be another Sean William Scott, right? You'd look back and be like, I don't know if I like this movie anymore. This
Right.
guy's an ass. But being Ryan Reynolds, like, all right, it's a pretty good movie.
Right. Speaking of
Um,
which, apparently they're remaking Clue, and the two people I saw attached to it were Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman so far. And
And
I'm
Jason Bateman.
and at this
That's
point I'm
pretty good.
like, I'm in, you know.
Ryan Reynolds is one of those people. Like, I like him. I will watch whatever he's in.
Yeah.
What was the other college? Oh, Eurotrip.
Yeah.
The thing about Eurotrip, and you can see the train of thought in all of my movies, is it has Scotty Doesn't Know, which is
Yes.
like one of the greatest movie songs.
It really is. That is
Ever.
a great movie song.
With songs specifically for movies, it's tough to top that one.
Like made specifically for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that aren't musicals.
Right. And just what was his name?
Matt Damon?
Matt Damon. I wouldn't say Matt Dillon,
Yeah.
but I was like, that's wrong. Matt Damon being the singer of that. That's just like he
Right.
wasn't the actual singer of that, but just him portraying that was something special. Yeah.
I always wonder if it's I like that song because my name is Scott, so as soon as I heard it, I instantly identified with the song, or
Okay.
if it's just a really good song. And I think it's just a
I
really
think
good
it's a good song. I think it's a catchy song for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's on my running playlist. I ran this morning, and Scotty Doesn't Know came up, and you get a little bit of extra juice on that song.
There you go. All right. So, hey, Scott, I know you haven't done one in a little while. Or do you have a homebrew on deck at all?
No, well, yeah, I mean in kegs.
No.
Yeah.
I mean like that you're gonna make.
Brew day.
Well, I'm putting
brew day.
together
Thank you.
putting together an order for my local homebrew shop because they're doing drive up right now.
Okay.
So the 3 that I've got on tap coming, not kegs that I'm sorry, the 3 that I have on deck for brewing
Okay.
are a Sierra Nevada Pale clone, New England IPA, and a Goza.
Oh, goes. Okay.
Now the Goes we have on tap almost always at the house
Okay.
because my wife likes sour beers and she'll throw some lime juice in it, and sometimes I'll just throw lime juice right in the keg, and make it like a margarita because it's salted and limey
Right.
and super sour. But it's also a quick turnaround and 2 short brew days instead of 1 long brew day. So I'll go down, I'll mash in,
Okay.
and then dump in my probiotic and let it go for 3 days. And then the second day, 3 days later, is raising it up to boil. So I'm skipping the whole boil and cool down on day 1.
Right.
And I'm skipping the entire mash and strike on day 2.
Right.
So yeah, splitting it in half. It makes it
Wow.
super easy to do after work, which doesn't matter as much right now because I'm home. But yeah, those are the 3 that I'm putting in my orders for.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
New England, because I've got the Quebec yeast just ready to go for whatever. The Sierra Nevada Pale, because it's all Cascade and I can buy a pound of Cascade, and knock that one out.
That is my favorite hop.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
we
what.
grow it here.
I think it's the most versatile thing.
They're starting to come up literally outside that window.
Yeah.
Really?
You can't see the shoots through the window because it's glass block, but that's where they are, and that's Cascade and Centennial.
Okay.
When did you plant them?
6 years ago now.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
They
So you-
take over that side of the house.
So
Yeah.
you got, I was gonna say, you got to be getting a pretty good yield at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane how much we get. The past couple of years, I haven't been actually using them. This year, I probably will, just because this summer is going to be weird.
True.
So you're gonna make the Sierra Nevada the way
Yeah.
they make it with the whole leaf?
With the whole leaf cones, probably this year, yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Nice.
So what do you how much more do you have to use in whole leaf versus the pellet?
A
It's
lot.
not too much.
No. Oh. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
He said a
No,
whole
I
lot.
said it's a whole lot.
Well, the problem I have with whole leaf is you get, I think the conversion is something like 10% difference.
Yeah, that's about what I thought.
Like you need an extra 10% of whole cone hops to get the same out of the. So
Okay, so if you use an ounce, you need 1.1 ounce kind of thing.
I think that, and I'll look that up, but
Okay.
because I would look that up before I would brew it for sure. But
There is a water absorption factor with it too.
that's it right there.
Yeah.
Oh.
When I use whole cone hops, I lose so much of the wort
Yep.
to just
absorption.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's why I don't like to use them.
That's interesting. So when you use whole cone, I wonder if Beersmith takes that into account when you put whole cone.
That's a good. Yeah. Can you select that in Beersmith?
You can select whole cone. I don't know if they
All
go
right.
into losses because of it.
I would imagine they would. If they're asking that question, if they could at least understand it, I'll bet they're factoring it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know they're factoring it in for IBUs.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's not important enough to look up right at this moment, but I thought it was 10%.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got the chest freezer in the back here and the food saver up top. So when I do dry them out, I'll food save them, vacuum seal them and throw them in the freezer. It's a process. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of waiting.
Yeah. And we use
I've
the
been
food
told
dehydrator.
Yeah.
And I'll build like a hammock in my garage and just blow air on it for days and dry them out as best I can.
Okay.
It's no fun. Really, you just go buy some pellets.
Well, so here's what I was thinking about doing with them is because I was thinking about growing them too, but primarily what I was thinking about doing was dry hopping.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
So I wonder if you do the dry hopping, do you still have to worry about the water absorption, or is it the boiling effect that causes that?
No, it's just the sheer amount of vegetation you're throwing in there.
So you do have to worry about water absorption.
Yeah, probably not as much if you're using it only in dry hopping, but yeah.
Okay.
It's just soaking it up.
Yeah.
And like I said, for the price of pellets, like you can get a pound of Cascade for less than $1 an ounce.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel.
Well, when you have 3.5 acres, you start talking about what can I grow?
Yeah, no, I get that, and honestly, like I know a lot of people that have grown their own hops too, and they tell stories that they really are happy that they did it, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But like Scott just mentioned a second ago, the pellets are not really expensive.
No, they're not. So,
no.
Scott, do you have a lattice, or do you grow them on like
on a string?
On a string. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, directly above me is our kitchen, and that's only one story, so it comes up to the peak, and we run it to the peak down to the 2 plants.
Okay.
And the 2 plants will climb up, and they'll go everywhere. I mean, we cut them down as much as we can, but they'll be in the gutters, and they don't get in anything.
Right.
They don't dig into anything. They just latch on.
Okay.
And at the end of the year, when September hits or late August, they're super heavy.
Right.
We've tried to go across, because I don't know if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I showed you my parents' house is behind me.
Right.
And I've tried to go across, but the hops will not grow sideways.
They only want to grow vertically?
They only want to grow vertical. So even if I put them across, if I let them go all the way up and then bring the string across, they'll still try to continue going up even though there's nothing there.
Huh. It's interesting.
Yep. They will not continue to follow the string. They're jerks that way.
Yeah. Huh. Sounds like. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I tried once. You remember when I was in Chicago, I tried to grow some. I got a rhizome and tried to grow some Cascade.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
You did plant it in the ground, didn't you?
I did. I think the ground was too waterlogged there for it to grow properly.
Did that come up in conversation before you sold the place?
No.
Hop plant in the ground?
No, it didn't.
So you think come summertime the next year, the guy was like, "Whoa, look at what I got here."
Possibly. Who knows? Oh, what's that?
Can you guess that beer? Can you name that beer?
Okay, commercial beer?
It's a commercial beer. It's a macro.
It's a macro?
Right.
Okay.
There's a story. I'll give you the story on it.
Okay, I'm going to take a shot at this, and I might get it. George, any guesses?
It's not the worst of the macros. I have very strong opinions about them. It's not the worst of them.
Let's go with
probably top 3.
Let's go with like Miller Lite.
It is a Miller
Genuine
High
Draft, a High Life.
Yes!
Okay.
Yes.
You know,
I didn't say it, but that's right where my brain was.
So the story is, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Miller High Life didn't do too well in our cheap beer judging, did it, Jason?
Not great. I have two of them.
Is that true?
This is one of the two.
We have pictures.
We do have pictures, yeah.
It's like champagne, guys. It's like champagne.
The champagne of beers.
Did you listen to our cheap beer judging episode?
I didn't, but
Okay.
I was on a podcast that did that like 7 or 8 years ago, and yep, this didn't do well for us either.
I'm trying to remember because that was one that we were talking about, but I'm trying to remember if we actually did it or if I'm making that up.
I remember Jenny Cream Ale being super high.
Jenny Cream Ale, okay.
You
ever had Steel City?
No.
Oh, it's not great.
So Steel Reserve.
Or Steel Reserve, yeah. Steel Reserve.
No, you don't want that.
No, it's not great.
MGD might have done well in the draft in our thing.
Yeah,
George, you were right. Yeah, Miller High Life came in 4th out of 6.
Okay, yeah.
In our judging.
All right.
So the quick story version is one of the guys in one of the homebrew clubs around here posted on Facebook, "Hey, I've got 2 or 3 cases of random beer. Does anybody want it?" Because he was going gluten-free.
Oof, poor guy.
And I say, "Yeah, I'll take whatever you have." And he goes, "A lot of it's not labeled." It's like, that's even better. Just open up a bottle. Who knows what it's going to be? Just random homebrew.
Yeah.
And some of it's super good. And then there's like 4 random Miller High Lifes, Molson Canadians.
Okay.
And something else. But there's 4 or 5 random macros in this 3 cases that he gave me. And I didn't want to waste a second beer after this one on something good. I wanted to just have something. So one of the Miller High Lifes tonight it is.
All right, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, you're making me reminisce about the basement that I had on Main Street when I was in Chicago. I miss that for, having a good place to do fermentation and everything. But I'll tell you what, Jason, I don't miss carrying those pots, of near boiling liquid down the stairs.
Well, okay, look at it like this. Hold on, seriously. Knowing what we know now, do you really think that we'd be doing those same things?
No, God, no.
Yes, exactly.
No, eventually we were smart enough to put a hose out through the window and actually cool it upstairs.
Nice.
Yeah. But I definitely burned my leg really badly because my immersion chiller, and it was just when it was starting, so what was coming out of the immersion chiller was still really hot, and one of the lines broke and put near scalding water right on my ankle and burnt it pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. You went into the hospital the next day and didn't even acknowledge that it happened.
It's a fun hobby, isn't it?
It is, but it's a contact sport.
Now, I brew in the same room where my 2 temperature fridges are now. So as soon as it's done, and both of them, the Robo Brew and the Grainfather, both have a pump. Just gets pumped right into the fermenter, right in the fridge.
Right.
And then I set the temperature and let it go.
Yeah. One thing I did this time that I haven't done in the past is I actually, because I do a whirlpool with my chugger, so it's sanitized as I'm doing the whirlpool off of boiling and everything.
Right.
So once the whirlpool was finished and I was cooled, I stopped it and closed the one valve, put it right into my fermenter, and just turned on the chugger again and pumped all the liquid out of it into my fermenter, into my catalyst, and just pumped it right in there. And it was, I didn't have to use any siphons or anything, and it was in there in probably a minute. This
is a great, right? Pumps are the best.
Pumps are the best. Best upgrade I've ever done.
Okay, all right, I got it. Jeez.
We did talk about my other thing going here. Where did I tell you I did mix the mead cider in with the spiced rum?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I did. I mixed it in with the spiced rum. It's under here as well.
Okay.
How long are you? Good. It's not terrible.
It's terrible.
Oh yeah, no. It's It's kind of a spiced rum kind of flavor. It kind of tastes. It has a smoky cigar kind of flavor to it,
Okay.
which is fine. It's just not what I was looking for. I was looking for. Well, I'm not sure what I was looking for, but I was looking for sweeter.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
tried that.
All right.
We'll try it again someday.
How's that High Life tasting?
Oh, terrible. It's
All
not as bad as a Budweiser. It's not as bad as a Labatt Blue or a Molson Canadian. It's
Okay.
better than all of those.
Okay. All right.
It's super sweet. I don't know if Miller uses any adjuncts.
I think they use rice.
I assume they do, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
So my dad was in town, and he can only take so much of the craft beers. The yeastiness of it tends to get to him, especially homebrew stuff. So whenever he comes to town, I get him a case of Michelob Ultra, because he usually comes in for a little bit to help me with a project or something. And when he left, he had only drank like 4 of a case.
Yeah.
So I had so much Michelob Ultra left over. And so I'd drink a can or 2 here and there with dinner. And by the end, I was kind of sad that they were gone. I felt like it was a little bit of a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. But they're not, for what they are. I mean, they're really refreshing, and they're not, and you can drink a bunch of them and really not feel anything. So
now there's a Southern Tier can. It's the same size can as the what you just said. I can't remember the name of it
Michelob
just now.
Ultra.
Yeah, as a Michelob
Yeah.
Ultra can. It's called Swipe Light, and it's
Oh yeah. They
it's
sell them at
super
Lidl.
good.
Yeah.
And they're the same, like they're 95 calories and like 0 carbs. I'm sure they have some carbs. I don't know what it is, but they're hoppy, like the Slightly Mighty from Dogfish Head,
Okay.
or the Rec League from Pennsylvania. Who is it?
Rec League. Is that
Yeah, I don't remember who makes Rec League, but same idea.
okay. Jason, is there any, like, what's your go-to mass market?
Harpoon?
I would honestly, if I had to pick one, I'd go with the Boston Lager.
No, mass market. Come on, man.
I mean, that to me, that's
Yeah,
that's
no,
mass
I get it, but you know what I mean. Like, think InBev, think Miller Coors, think,
I mean, I've got some Coors Light in the fridge. I guess, and that came in. No. You got to listen to the episode to find out where Coors Light placed. Yeah, honestly, like, it's so rare that I go for one of those big market beers. I'm
Right.
always going for either a home brew or a craft.
Yeah, I was thinking
So-
about if you, like, show up at a picnic and somebody has... Now, usually we do that. We show up with some beer,
See,
kind of thing.
that's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah,
And I'm pretty much like feeding the whole place with, with my
Yeah.
home brews.
right, yeah. Yeah, I guess that has kind of spoiled us a little bit on that.
Yeah. So do you carry the message into that to say, don't be that guy? 'Cause I
Don't
feel like
be-
I
that
should.
guy.
I am that guy, but I feel like, should I be that guy?
Well, as long as you can drink a mass market beer and not, like, look down on everybody, then you're
No,
fine.
That's
You know?
that's not who I am.
Yeah, then you're fine. Yeah.
I will avoid any AB InBev beer.
Okay.
Anheuser-Busch InBev, I will avoid it. I won't shame somebody else for doing it, but if they offer me one, I will say no
Okay.
to an AB InBev. And actually it was we were in Iceland, and I told a story on the podcast about why I won't do it, and it was because of the Blue Lagoon, the hot spring.
The hot spring? Okay. Yeah.
And I looked it up, told my wife, like, there's no way in my head. I'm sitting there, we're having dinner, waiting to get into the Blue Lagoon. And in my head, my thought was, there's no way a corporation like this, a huge company, is going to rely 100% on volcanic heated water. Like, they're doing something. What are they doing? Are they heating it? Are they cooling it? They must be doing something to keep it the right temperature.
Right.
Because this is their entire business model, and this is $1 million operation.
Right.
Right. So I looked it up and I asked my wife, do you want to know the truth about this place? And she was like, no, it's going to ruin it for me. Right.
Wow.
So after five or 6 minutes,
I want to know.
right. After 5 or 6 minutes, she goes, all right, tell me, please. So Blue Lagoon, they do actually use heated water. They do actually use volcanic heated water. However, it goes through a power plant first. And then what is left, the discharge from that power plant after they use the heated water to run the steam generators, empties out into this man-made Blue Lagoon lake.
Okay. Well,
So-
that's not uncommon. Geothermal
Right?
is huge over there. Yeah.
It is geothermally heated,
Okay.
but it's used for energy first. And then this is the discharge from the factory that you can actually see from the Blue
Yeah, I
Lagoon.
remember seeing that. Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I guess that cheapens it a little bit, like that this is a man-made thing here. It's not like it's not a naturally occurring geothermal spring that's down the street.
Right.
This is a man-made thing that takes the discharge from the real one.
Right. So
after it's been used.
we didn't go to Blue Lagoon. We went when I was there. We went to one called the Fontana, the something Fontana, and it
Right. was
a little bit. It was on the thing they call the Golden Circle, and it was a little bit out of the way, but it was. We were able to walk right in and not have to wait for an hour and a half to get into the water and everything. And yeah, and they had different pools that were at different temperatures and everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if it went through a geothermal plant first too. But to be honest, I'm okay with that because that's a good use of that water to create power and everything. And
It
then,
is.
and then the discharge comes over here and then it also has a secondary use. I'm fine with that,
But my point was, because it was a Belgium trip, and we stopped in Iceland on the way home.
Right.
My point was, it's the same as being in Belgium and being able to get all of these Belgian beers, or that one Belgian beer that Budweiser owns.
Right.
But because Budweiser owns it, which happens to be a Belgian company, but still, because Budweiser owns it, you can get that one much cheaper.
Yeah.
So everybody's drinking that cheap version, right? And it's
Right.
putting the local Belgian beers out of business
Right.
because they can't sell for that same price.
Well, it's like, Jason, you remember I was talking to you about the Viking Lager and everything?
Yeah.
That's actually an affiliate and distributed by Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
it's still a very much a Icelandic beer, like Icelandic rooted beer, but it is a little bit more mass market that way,
Okay. Okay.
compared to some of the other microbrews that are out there that we talked about. Yeah.
The only place we ate in Iceland was at the Blue Lagoon. We were only there for
Okay.
like 12 hours.
Yeah, you get away from Reykjavik and it starts to you get a lot less of that kind of, I don't want to call it false, but touristy bravado
Right.
than that you will get in those areas.
Now, we spent the entire time in Reykjavik.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Yeah.
And
Ours
we
wasn't.
were afraid to miss the flight, so we
Yeah, exactly. Ours wasn't a stopover. We went there specifically to explore Iceland. So, Yeah.
Yeah, and that Skyer beer you were talking about
Yeah, the skier beer. Yeah.
must have cost what, like $19-20 American?
Honestly, no, it really wasn't that bad.
No.
No. When there was a little bit of a premium, but I expected more when we were over there. I expected more of a premium than we ran into. Exchange rate was pretty good, and the food was definitely more expensive. There was a little bit of a what you usually call like an island tax, but because they have to import a lot of things, but it was not nearly as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
We when we walked in, I mean, we were in the EU for Belgium. And then coming back into the United States, you're expected to wait in line at customs in both of those places for a long time. They're checking everything. Iceland was nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Like it was like a 16-year-old girl who's doing it, and they're like checking Facebook at the same time. Like, just walk past.
Yeah. Now Iceland was really easy, both in and out, of customs and everything. So yeah.
I told Sam, like, we just made it into the country. Like, we didn't even talk to anybody. They just let us in.
Yeah. So
a plane from Switzerland is where we were right before that.
Okay.
A plane from Switzerland is probably fine, right?
Yeah, probably fine. Yeah, why not?
Swiss.
All right. So it's getting to be 9:15 now. And I know I have a meeting bright and early tomorrow morning. But Scott, you are doing your thing on Wednesday.
On Wednesday at 7. I'm actually going to do a test run as soon as we hang up.
Okay. And then
on my Twitter, Facebook, YouTube.
So do you have like a Facebook page other than yours, or are you just doing it on like Scott Panfil?
I should totally do something, shouldn't I? All right. By this time tomorrow, I'll have it all linked up on scottpanfil.com.
All right.
Which is SCOTTPANFIL.com.
Okay. Send me some information on Twitter, and I'll get it out there for everybody.
Yeah, will do. Thank you. It's not even a website yet. It's just a nothing template up there, so I'll actually put some work into it.
Okay. All right. And in the meantime, if you guys listen to this, you like what you hear, we do have a podcast on all the major podcasting platforms, and which you will find at A Nice Place to Brew. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all pretty much Nice Place to Brew or A Nice Place to Brew. Right. And am I forgetting anything, Jason?
No, just watch our website, check out our website, watch our social media links, and we're doing this webcast every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time, at least until the end of the quarantine. So the schedule's been uninterrupted so far, and the plan, of course, is to continue.
Yep, absolutely. So as we end all of our podcasts, we raise a glass. And
Scott, is there a glass nearby?
A can, glass or can or bottle?
Can.
Yeah.
There's a very little bit back here.
Yeah, all right. And we say, it takes a lot. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
Go ahead. It's all you, man.
It takes a lot of good beer to make great beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.